JP. How are y'all today?
We're great.
Are you great?
Well, I am. I'm glad I made it actually because after my very eventful non old lady night last night,
That was such a non-old lady night last night.
I was a little nervous.
Shabuzi.
Shabuzi was actually probably one of the best concerts I've been to in a long time.
Really?
It was so good. So in the past week and a half, my husband and I have been to Nelly.
Really? Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We went to Nelly.
Okay.
Our first experience at the new Coca-Cola amphitheater.
Okay.
Which I have thoughts. But anyway, and then we went to Jason Aldean.
Nice.
Okay. Yes.
And then Shabuzi. Now,
Okay.
Shabuzi was at Avondale, so it was a little smaller. He was so good.
Was he
was
really?
so good. Jason Aldean was terrible.
Wait,
Well,
what?
Okay.
No.
Let me start over. I was disappointed. Jared was disappointed. We're not huge fans. We got free tickets at like 7:30 that night. And they were box seats. So we're like, yeah, we're going. Because we're fun and spontaneous old people. And if you don't stay fun and spontaneous, then you get really old. And so we went, but I guess maybe we didn't know as many songs, but he just seemed tired. And I do think he's at the end of his tour.
Yeah.
Nelly was good, but not as good we've seen him before. He was at Rock the South a few years ago.
I was at that Rock the South.
In the mud?
But I didn't go that day because of the rain. I went the first day to see Jelly Roll. And then the second day,
I like Jelly Roll.
I got to go because of a Nash Icon at the Cumulus Station in Huntsville. They had me and Kelsey go to take pictures for them. So we got to be in like the VIP up front and stuff. And then the next day I was like, I saw Jelly Roll. I prefer not to get rained on. So I did not see Nelly that day.
You missed the most fun.
Really?
Y'all, this is so great because all the listeners are going to think I'm really fun. This happens like once every few years. But Jared and I, that year, we rented an RV. And stayed the entire weekend. And by the end of that night, because they did the Trump rally right after that.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I do remember.
Jared went to Jared went to get a piece of pizza. And we're walking back, and literally his flip-flop and his shoe got stuck a foot in the mud. And you know when you're trying to walk, pizza splats. And so then by the end of it, we're like slip and sliding with all the rednecks in the mud. It was so much fun.
I would not go. The only reason I really enjoyed it was having to have like a VIP tent up front to go to. I'm not going to that festival out and standing the whole time. That's just not my thing.
Are you
I feel you.
Snob?
No.
I feel you. Yes.
I like large groups of people if I'm going to see like my sports team, but I'm not standing around a bunch of people to see Jelly Roll at the end of the night. You know, it's not my, that may sound like an old guy, but it's not my thing.
Abs?
It depends on, I have a husband who specializes in really good tickets. So I don't even think about things like that because if we go, he took us to Imagine Dragons a couple years ago, which was phenomenal in Atlanta. And we walked and kept walking. I thought where we would sit. And then we walked down to the floor and I was like, oh, you were in charge of this forever. So he knows where we like to go. And it's been a while since we've been to a concert. But if we did, he would get tickets like that.
Yeah.
Or we went to see Nate Bargatze. We were on the floor.
That's good.
And, you know, it's a birthday situation. And so it was the year we focused on experiences. Let's go to concerts. Let's go
stay in the world.
But he's the one who's fun like that. But he takes care of that. So that was very fun. But I do remember you telling us about you guys going to the concert in the rain, all the things.
Because then we went back. Were y'all at the Trump rally?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Again, rain.
No. It wasn't raining that day.
But it had been raining.
That was the day I got to meet Donald Trump. I have a great picture with Donald Trump. But I totally blew my shot. So that, if anybody was there, it was so crazy. It was insane. I can't believe how many people were there.
Bonkers. And
so we were lining up like kindergartners. Literally somebody was yelling at a bunch of old people to get in line or we weren't going to get our picture with him. And they have this huge like drape, you can't see on the other side of it, but you could hear his voice. So we're standing there and it's almost our time. And you start hearing that, thank you. But what is Thank You Thursday?
Thank you Thursday. It is Thankful Thursday.
Thankful Thursday.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so you start hearing his voice and then you just are kind of like, wait, he's just right on the other side of the curtain. And so we walk in and he pokes on my husband's like pec muscle and goes, wow, you're buff. And it made me giggle, but then I just froze and I like go up and I stand next to him and I take the picture and then I just turned around and shuffled out. Like didn't talk to him, didn't say anything. It was awful.
He's an intimidating guy. He's got aura.
But he was so nice.
He totally has aura. No farming for him.
No.
I don't freeze around anyone, but I froze around him. But it was awesome. But Shabuzi last night, just to wrap it up, it was like the best of humanity. You had every walk of life all there, having so much fun. So anyway, I feel very young. Actually, I kind of feel old. But
you had way more fun than I did last night.
I thought you were going to cry.
I didn't cry because
message.
I've lost several, but this one was murderous rampage by my dogs.
Oh, geez.
And so 3 of our chickens went down. I only have 2 left. They have bull mastiffs. They're great dogs, but 2 of them are puppies, but like giant puppies.
You think they thought they were playing?
I think here's the situation, if I may. Our female's fixed, our male is not. He is full of emotion. He would love to get with his lady, but he cannot. And instead, he's ramming into things.
Wait, why can't he?
Because she is fixed. And she has lost interest in all things. She's old, but young. Anywho, so my sweet husband had to go crawl in there. He doesn't like the word sweet. My giant husband he's 6'9", guys. He had to crawl in the coop and go grab 3 decrepit dead chickens and while you were at Shabuzi.
Well, did you see this happen?
Well, I saw them circle the coop, but they do that every day. They don't normally do it with such verve.
Well, how did they get in?
They rammed in and he broke into it.
Wow. What kind of dog is this?
Bull Mastiff.
Okay.
The giant.
So I have, and this one is a puppy. He is 10 months and he's already 100-ish pounds. We think he'll be 150, which we've had them before. They're great dogs. They really are gentle giants, except for chickens. Anywho, you had more fun. You win, but I'm just thankful we're here. That's how we're going to start off Thankful Thursday.
But you're going to have to get more chickens.
Oh, of course.
Because you need at least 3 in your flock.
Yeah. I mean, I said 2. We have 3 left, but I want more. I mean, I've decided what we're getting next, but I've got to build a run first, which means Chris Shaver's going to build a run first, and then we'll go from there.
Maybe the listeners can help, but I can also help you with like integrating. There's a whole process when you have to bring in new chickens.
Yes, and
it's not quick.
It's not quick, and I know we tried with some of Emmy's chicks that she was letting me have with the box and the days and the Also, maybe the dogs ate them too. So.
Y'all seen
abs?
But I did have one named Dale Earnhardt, and she
nice.
Survived. Dayle Earnhardt. She survived.
Dale.
And Aaron Rodgers did not. But Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers is doing a great job.
He's doing all right.
He's doing okay. All right, look. Okay, we have 1 minute-ish till break. Thankful Thursday. Are y'all into canceling Netflix?
Somebody tell me, what is that show? I've never heard of the show.
We're going to talk about it.
Have you seen this?
Okay, canceling Netflix because it's a whole thing. It's our specialty, Allison, LGBTQ stuff. What happened to our language, unalived versus killed. What's going on with Caitlin Clark. And then I have a discussion question for us. Oh, and Jared Hudson's going to be on. The warriors versus wimps mentality in the church today. And we're going to discuss that with lots of other things. Like this new virus that apparently we could get from mosquitoes, but that's all.
There's always a virus we can get.
There's always a virus, but I'm going to throw it out here. This is so dumb. This is like, guys, could y'all stop planning viruses so that we could take your dumb shots? That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
What happened to monkeypox?
We're going to.
Can we research that during the break?
Discuss.
It disappeared.
Unalived. So you guys, that with so many other things on the Rightside Radio. Phil Williams isn't here. We're filling in for Phil on this Thankful Thursday. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP, and we'll be right back.
JP.
Leave the interview we just had with Mike Durant, author of In the Company of Heroes, the pilot who was shot down in Black Hawk Down. He became a national icon, an international icon really, as images of him being held captive in Somalia were transmitted around the world. The way he tells his story, though, is as amazing as his story. So sit back, enjoy your time, hear about things that you're going to think about for the rest of your life after this discussion we're going to have with Mike Durant on the Just Right podcast. Yeah, let's do a show.
1, 2, 3, hey!
Hey, Mike Durant, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm honored to have you. And listen, I'm going to run through just a quick intro of who you are so folks know who I got sitting across from me. All
Sure.
right? Some of this is going to be unpacked in more detail, but I know for a fact you were born in New Hampshire, but you call Alabama home, have for a number of years. 22 years active military. First enlisted, I think, in 79? Weren't you a Spanish linguist?
I was.
Yeah.
And don't ask me to speak Spanish. They taught us to, the school that I went to, the focus was to just be able to understand it, not speak it. So I can still understand a little bit, but I'm not a very good speaker.
Did some intercept work down there in Panama, right?
I did.
Yeah. I got family ties there. My grandfather was post commander. It was at Corzal, I think it was one of the, years ago. Became a warrant officer in 83. Which I still don't understand the warrant officer mafia. I never knew whether you guys got saluted or what was going on with that. But anyway, warrant officer in 83, flight school, Fort Rucker. 5 years later, you were selected for the elite 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, which we're going to talk about in a lot of detail. 3 distinguished flying crosses, Bronze Star with a V device, Purple Heart, and fairly rare in modern times, a Prisoner of War medal. And then you retired as a CW4, am I right? Chief Warrant Officer 4?
That's correct. 2 DFCs.
2 DSCs.
Yeah.
Well, okay, just 2. Got your undergrad and your master's from Embry-Riddle, is that right?
That's correct.
And built a successful defense contracting firm, Pinnacle Solutions, which you've retired from now. And you're married, and most importantly, you've had 6 kids.
We do.
Got your own basketball team.
Yeah, with some bench.
Well, good enough. Well, hey, thanks for being on the Just Right podcast. Appreciate you.
Again, my pleasure. I do always enjoy time spent with you. I think, we certainly have some common history, and you get it. And it's kind of nice to talk to people who get it, because when you talk to people who don't get it, it's a little bit frustrating, and you got to get drilled down into areas you feel like it's tedious, but with you, that's not the case.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. And we'll have to make sure we don't slip into acronyms or something like that.
Well, that is easy to do, and then you can lose a lot of folks that way. But I've gotten pretty good at trying to avoid that.
Well, let me ask you this. I want folks to get to know who you are as much as your story, because your story is amazing. I've got your book sitting right here in the Company of Heroes. I read it years ago, and I've had a copy on my shelf. In fact, I think I told you before the show, my son nabbed it. He's stationed down at Benning, so he's got it with him, so I had to get another copy for today. But let me ask you, how did it start with you in the military? You're a kid in New Hampshire. Why the military? I mean, what happened there that said, that's where I want to lead my life?
So, I characterize myself as a blue-collar kid. I mean, working parents, we were certainly not poor, but we weren't really well off either. And never saw myself as necessarily college material. I did fairly well in school when I tried, but I wasn't necessarily motivated to go to college. And I lived in a paper mill town, and a lot of people went to work in the mill. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need people to do that. That's, if that's what you want to do. But I just couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. And when I was about 14, and it's about the time you start thinking about, what am I going to do when I get out of college? Doesn't keep you up at night, but, you start pondering that kind of stuff. I had a major turning point in my life. I went on a helicopter flight with a friend of the family.
No kidding.
His name is Joe Brigham. He was a warrant officer in the National Guard. He also had his own business. And as I found out later, I wasn't the only young teenager that he ever did this with. He took a few of us up. that he wanted to try to inspire, and it absolutely impacted me. I mean,
No kidding.
we're flying over Mount Washington, which is the highest mountain in the Northeast. It's 6,280 feet. We're basically hovering. The aircraft was kind of primitive by today's standards, I guess I would say. Is kind of a glass bubble. If you remember the MASH helicopters, similar to that. And it's like you're just floating in space. And I'm looking at, like, you know, again, I'd flown on a small airplane before, but never anything like this experience. And I said, you could actually do this as a job? And he says, yeah. And he said, you could, if you join the Army, they'll send you to flight training.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP, having a thankful Thursday. That was the first time we really got to hear that great Thankful Thursday bumper.
Yeah, but we haven't played on the air yet.
So we need to play it because it's hilarious. And then we have some text from y'all. Thank you already for those.
We're very thankful.
I mean, that's so sweet. People are so kind.
Well, until Caleb with a K texts in.
Caleb.
Or Kareem calls.
Be kind.
Trouble.
Be kind. Here's what we've got. The name is Rock the South. Why Nelly? Why country music? Sorry, this classic rocker has a problem with the name. They did have Kid Rock and Nickelback. And now I know what he's saying this past time, but I'm with JP. We prefer seats.
Yeah.
So apparently you get the fun parent award. Even though you took no kids.
Time out. No, I took my 17-year-old. She had a blast. And full transparency, when we got there, we upgraded our tickets so we could be in the front pit.
That is something that I would do.
And we could have the bathroom that was inside, not the outside bathroom. So
well played, Sinclair. Well played.
I'm on the fence. I can go either way, but I am getting older and it's getting more difficult to do those things. But it's like skiing. Like you got to go water skiing or wakeboarding once a year just to make sure you can still do it and you don't turn into like an old lame.
I felt like an old guy whenever my 1 year in college and all my friends wanted to go do like the frat parties and stuff. And I'm just like that.
No, that doesn't appeal to me.
I'd rather just chill and play video games with my friends. I don't want to do that. I don't know. Large groups of people.
So you're an old soul.
Large groups of people make me anxious unless it's like a Bama game and I know I'm with good people. Okay. Then we're okay.
I saw what you did there. Tom, with all the kids, said the wife and I haven't been to a live performance not involving one of my children in about 20 years. That's a good thing. And then John.
Time out.
What?
We need to stop and just contemplate what Tom with all the kids just said. I don't know how you have time to eat dinner
with all the kids
and all the things you have to go to.
17 of them.
17 of them.
17.
Think about how many games, how many performances, doctor's appointments,
right?
Dentist appointments, sitting at the DMV all those years. Wow. Shout out to Tom.
Bless, right?
Bless. Yeah.
I mean, bless it all.
Maybe someday he'll get to go back to a concert that doesn't include his kids, but
perhaps
he might not want to.
Okay. So, John from Hunts, have you ever considered filming your chickens and putting them on a YouTube channel? Apparently, it's quite popular. Yes.
That's a thing?
It's a thing. And I told Emmy that her Easter egger chicken has the funny, like, hair that goes out to the side on the camera, like this. Do
you get blue egg? What color are the eggs?
Darling, the eggs are going to be blue. They're about a month out from laying. So I told her we probably should consider my last 3 chickens. I have Lulu and Olive and gosh, I can't remember what. And Randelia.
Randelia is still alive.
One of our old listeners whom we love had a hand in our chickens. Randelia is still up. We don't know. We think because they hid. Chris gave a play-by-play of the whole thing. I'm like, how could I have been home yesterday and I didn't notice the massacre of what was yesterday, October 2nd.
Wait, so how many chickens
today's the
do you
second.
have now?
Today, okay, the first. I have 3.
Okay.
I had 10.
Oh,
we rehomed the rooster. We had 9. The dogs got to some of them. One
God.
flew the coop. Look, the fun part about having chickens is I'm this year's old. I'm today years old. And each day I'm like, oh, that's why we say flew the coop. or that's why we say henpecked, or that's why we say
pecking order.
Thank you. All these farming terms.
Yep.
Oh,
that's why you have
word.
to have at least 3 chickens, because they need to establish the pecking order and have.
That's right.
Like it's that. So let's go find you some more. I can't believe your
more.
Easter eggers, which are small, didn't.
Well, Emmys are
unalived.
fine. And her, speaking of, we're going there. Hers are great. Her dogs that are hunting dogs, leave them alone. But I think that's because they're so well trained. So I'm going to put my training, like I've got a Zap collar, but I also have those field training collars I'm going to put on the dogs. I did some research. We're going to try that first before we do some other things. Anywho, yeah, I think I will. Excuse me, Allison, Tom with all the kids. JV and varsity volleyball games tonight. Oh, I miss those games so much.
Oh yeah, you had a volleyballer.
I had a volleyballer. She's going to play on the intramural squad for her sorority.
So good.
Yeah. So speaking of unalived, right before we go to the break, let's dive into this first topic because I think they go together. And I asked you about this either last week or the beginning of the week, but my cousin texted, we have our monthly phone call. We talk for an hour about all the things, and she's as into all this as we are. But she asked a good question. What happened to our language?
Yeah.
So she said, words like unalived. And I understand that words like unalived are words versus killed or perhaps suicide, but unalived. Now, I understand some of those words are going to go to get past YouTube censors, right? We found that out when we used to do videos in our past life. I got kicked off frequently, which is why I quit doing them, because I realized, what can I even say?
It's really ridiculous.
It's so dumb. I'm like,
called a dude a dude.
I did call a dude a dude, and
just because you put on a dress
doesn't
mean you're not a dude.
Yeah.
But other words like master bedroom to primary bedroom. What are the other words that you hear that you can think of that you think, what happened? Yes, there's a censorship, but then there's more that you think, why?
I have an answer.
Do you have an answer?
Yeah, but I'm not giving it to you because
we got to go.
We're all going to sit in suspense.
Okay, we're going to sit
through the break.
Suspense.
But I tell you, and once I say it, y'all are both going to be like, "This is when all this started."
I can't wait.
Yeah,
because it also leads into, why are we censoring some things, but not others?
Well, you know the answer to that too.
Well, I know, but it's a talk show and we have to draw it out. You're listening to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You could do this as a career. And I'm like, okay, if this is a possibility for me, yeah, I'll take it. And ultimately, when I got old enough, I went and talked to the recruiter. And you probably heard the joke, you know a recruiter's line because their lips are moving. They have a quota. They're trying to fill certain slots.
Sure.
And there are programs that are available sometimes, and sometimes they're not. And he told me, sorry, but flight school program's not available for people coming right in off the street. You're going to have to join the military first, and then you can apply for flight school afterwards, which is all correct. But I didn't really know whether he was telling me the truth about, could I have applied to go directly to flight school? But either way, and another smart thing I did, and I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I have made some good decisions along the way, is I spoke to someone else about joining the military, and I think you and Jared had talked about this, or he did, and you don't want to just go join the military, right? There has to be a purpose to it. I mean, serving the country is noble and it's great, and we need people to do that. But for you as an individual, you should also be thinking about, what can I do with this in the life after the military?
Sure, absolutely.
And I was offered to go to, as we discussed before we got on camera, the Spanish language school in Monterey, California, to be in military intelligence. And how marketable is that? I don't know. But, I was convinced that, well, they'll send me to school for a year to learn Spanish. I'll be a military intelligence analyst. That's probably something
sounds sexy.
Worth something, yeah. and then I can possibly apply for flight schools. Okay, we'll go ahead and sign this. And it was one of those cases where I had gone off to talk to the recruiter on my own, and then came back to the house. I'd already signed the paperwork. My parents had not been informed at all, and they were kind of shocked, right? But I said, I think this sounds like a pretty good deal. Let's give it a try. And then I was stunned by the reality of basic training. I just,
no kidding.
I wasn't mentally prepared for it. I just wasn't.
But who really is?
Yeah, I guess no one is.
That's back when drill sergeants could be drill sergeants.
Yes, I mean it was quite a lifestyle change. Is all I could say.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living in an open barracks with 20 guys that you've never met before from all over the country. They treat by design. They treat you like crap, right? I mean, it's probably not as bad as some of the other military training that goes on, but it's going from a high school kid with long hair and concert T-shirts on and didn't care about anything except girls and some sports. This is a radical lifestyle change, and I at that point was thinking I have made a mistake. This is not what I thought it was going to be, and I don't know what I did think it was going to be, but it certainly shocked me to the point where I was thinking about, I don't know if I can get out of this, but if I can, I need to.
Well, was there anybody in your life like you had this warrant officer from the Guard who gave you the flight in the helicopter? But did you have any military in your family? I mean, was there anything watching it as you grew up? Like my family's been generational Army, so my son watched 3 generations before him do stuff, and then he wanted to do it.
Right.
But did you have anything like that?
They were in the Guard. My uncles were in the Guard. My father was in the Guard. But to me, that's different. I mean, you just sort of see him, go once a month. Not that the Guard isn't a great, organization, but it's just
it wasn't a full life,
right? And you still live at home. Unless you get deployed, obviously. But it was. I wasn't prepared, and I was again to the point where if I could get out of this, I need to, and was convinced that I should stay by the drill sergeant, and I did. And at that point, got like super motivated. I got like the PT award, physical training award of the whole class in basic training. I scored the highest, and just really got motivated that, okay, if I am going to do this, I'm going to do the best job that I possibly can. And then I went on to language school, advanced individual training, where they teach you how to actually do what you're on contract to do. And then I went to Panama, and that's where my assignment was. And I'm at that point, probably an E3 enlisted private, and working in military intelligence unit. And coincidentally, run across Manuel Noriega in the parking lot.
You are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP, and we are asking the question, in which you should text us and tell us what your answer is before Allison answers the question, what happened to our language? Because I want this to lead somewhere important also, because we got to understand the foundation. Why would they kill certain words, but they won't kill certain ideas? Like transgenderism and bathroom stuff that's going on in Houston. And the Zyzians, a group that's a trans killing group that's murdering people. It was a story in the Blaze this morning.
No,
it says they're called the Zizians group.
Is that like a
like thespians, but for pro-trans people who are a murderous gang who have been linked to several killings across the country. And so I'm thinking, why did we kill certain words, but we won't kill horrible ideas? But why did we kill those words like unalived or primary bedroom instead of master bedroom, in other words?
Well, I mean, because the people that won't kill the ideas are the people that have to kill the language so they can take over their communist Marxist regime and squash anything good and truthful and Christian. And I mean, they hate America. They hate the Western world. And in doing so, you have to take over the language. And I mean, I think it goes back when I first noticed it was when Obama got into office. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, people aren't short. They're vertically challenged. And everything got so politically correct and everybody got so sensitive. I mean, you go back and watch, like, one of my favorite shows is Seinfeld. Or even Friends.
Easy. John from Huntsville hates Seinfeld.
Really?
So y'all gonna get bad grades for today now.
I'm
But continue. I agree with you though.
Well, we can disagree. I mean,
yeah.
John from Huntsville, we're still friends. But yeah, and speaking of friends, you go back and watch even some of these that weren't supposed to be controversial and some of the things they said. Now it's like all of a sudden you can't talk about it. But you have to change a language to change a culture. And that is exactly, and it's so sad. Political correctness was the worst thing that ever happened to America, but really the globe. And I just think Obama is when, I think it started before then, but that's really where all this junk started just coming to the forefront and being shoved down our throats.
That's why I think it's funny when like the Jimmy Kimmel thing happened and they talked about it as an attack on free speech. And then some people on the right were like, well, we don't want them to do the same thing to us. It's like, what do you think's been happening for 10 years?
Right. Where have you been?
There's conservatives that still can't get on YouTube, can't get on X. Well, X has gotten better over time, but like it's still happening. So just because Jimmy Kimmel gets a little bit of consequences for what he said doesn't mean that there's still not cancel culture and they're not doing the same thing to the right constantly. It's still a thing. Trump may be in office, but it's still happening.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you.
Did y'all come to any conclusions on your conversation?
Well, it was more of a throwing out a question. And I said, that is a great question to ask because we've talked about it in the past. But I think her question reminded me just how far we've come with the degradation of language. And you're exactly right. You have to take over the language so that you can change what things mean. Because think about the conversations we have with perhaps leftists in our life or people that we know that now are questioning, well, what's true?
Yeah.
Because if you're asking those kinds of questions, your intent really is to change what's going on. But it also reminded me that this has been going on for a very long time. But when it's seeped into the general population and even down into the words we use in our home, we have problems. I do feel a sense of hope. And I know you guys talked about this yesterday, but Pete Hegseth bringing back truth and honor to that warrior ethos, those war fighters and their leaders who were participants. Yes, maybe they were doing what the government told them. I understand that, but I appreciate somebody in that high of a position telling them this is what we were doing. And what Obama really, because I think you're right, I think he opened the door to all of this. I think that he made a huge stride with that huge speech yesterday saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're not going to do. Basically, daddy's home, and this is how it's going to go. And I think we were all cheering for that. But we also, I think, need to see that in other ways and in other areas. But you're right, because if they have the language, then they can change. And so now we're used to this idea of trans ideology. We're used to the idea of horrible things in our kids' libraries, which is something that you are known for your fight against. And that's where we need to make sure we don't participate in that kind of language, which is hard.
Yeah.
Because you feel like a weirdo if you're like, I'm not doing that. But you know what I'm saying?
Well, I do. And as you're talking, I'm reminded this happened a few years ago. This was in a Mountain Brook elementary school. And this is where it gets really sinister and evil and just absolutely wrong. But they not only take, unalived dead is now unalived. It's worse than that. It was their character building program. And basically it was talking about putting others before yourself, which sounds innocent. That's what, yes, we need to consider others. We need to think about others. It's not just your world. Okay, that's biblical. That we hear that, we read that in the Bible. Where they twisted it was, you know what? You may have a schoolmate that thinks that, they are now a male instead of a female. So you need to consider them when they want to come into your bathroom with you and put them above yourself and be kind to them. Allow that boy that says he's a girl to come in and invade your space and totally make you uncomfortable, all the things that can go wrong with that. if you don't, you're not a good person.
Yep.
And
You're hateful.
Allyship, who doesn't want an ally? But they abuse all this language that when we hear it, we have one thought, one value that we grew up with. I don't know, JP, maybe you, because you're just young and.
Well, I feel like I did experience the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Because I was born in 2003, so I was in elementary school when Obama got elected. So I kind of saw a little bit of, I don't know, normalcy, and then I saw the uprising and the building of the woke in schools. So I feel like I kind of grew up with the rise of it, but I agree. That's how they phrase it. It's like, well, you want to be a good friend. You don't want to be mean. And then the people who are, quote, mean get punished, where it's like there's no objective truth anymore. It's like, just let them have their own truth. They're not bothering you. Just be nice, be tolerant. And that's where then people get scared to speak up.
I'm curious, if you look back, I mean, I don't know at what age you were when you can kind of pinpoint that, maybe now looking back, but in the moment, did you feel like were you kind of like, what? Wait, I maybe can't verbalize it, but this is weird.
I actually do. I mean, I would pinpoint it to around, elementary school, I guess. When it kind of started, and it's hard to verbalize it, like you said, but there was a sense of just sort of, embracing difference in terms of like, well, truth is subjective, and it's not, this guy, this schoolmate feels this way. And by the way, when if you're bullying other people, that's one thing, but to chastise and make kids feel bad because you have a trans classmate and you think that's kind of weird, but if you're not to the extent of if you don't call him her, if you don't call him their, which I experienced.
It's all so confusing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you see your friends that know they believe what you believe, but they're scared to speak up. So they go along with it and call him, her, and him, their new name. And you're like, am I in Bizarro World? What is going on?
Then all of a sudden they're in your locker room.
Yeah.
And you're like.
So it's hard to pinpoint, but there was a sense of change. Yes, I think that's correct.
Do y'all think, do we have to go to a break?
No, go ahead.
Do y'all think we could have stopped this if we had been aware of it, kind of what this was all going to turn into? If we had squished the niceness then, or do you think that this was always the powers that be were just going to make this happen?
I think the powers that be, if you look at some of the things our friend Ann Eubank has given us information on over the years, I think some of this has been planned, has been enacted, and we're unwilling participants. But I think the whole situation has been made worse. And perhaps this is when, in our next segment or the next hour, the church went along with it. And that's the problem to me, that you have this, you guys are already like, this is weird. Then you throw in furries, and then you throw in stuff that's going on, like in Houston, open bathrooms, and kids can use whatever ones they want. Like, this is so out of control. But where the church should have been the church coming alongside and going, absolutely not. We're not going to do this. This is not the order or the intention of God's will for people, men or women, let alone children. But they went alongside it, and they went along with it. And that's the part that bothers me the most. And so I think there was no pushback from the church because they were already into their seeker-friendly movement, and dropped all pretense of actually following the Bible, and let's just get people in and we'll say whatever we've got to say. And so I think you made a bad situation 10 times worse.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
Don't
it really
wish we
is.
could get it back.
Oh gosh, can you imagine? So we got to fight. We got to try. And at least we have a president and an administration who's at least willing to give us the tools so that we can go. Let's go, guys. We've got to push back on this. Like now. That's what we have to do. We don't get to withdraw. JP, is it time for a break?
Yeah, just about.
Okay, I mean, it's like perfect timing. You know what I'm saying?
It's good.
It's good. It's good. Good break time.
Do you have your list of words?
I got my list of words.
Can we I just am curious because you said you had a list of like words we can't use anymore.
Words that are banished.
Banished to the fall places.
Yeah.
You're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
Parking lot
of our, because he was an MI
was there a food
guy.
truck and y'all were standing in line together or what?
No, but he was a military intelligence guy. So I was in a military intelligence unit, and at the time, he's only probably a major or whatever, but he was already pretty well known, and he showed up, and he obviously very easy individual to identify.
You were there later,
and then years later we go back and bag him. But anyway, so I'm kind of enjoying this military intelligence job. And then one day I'm sitting on the beach, and I know this is a really long answer to your original question, but I'm sitting on the beach, and these 3 Hueys fly low level right over the top of us with shooters in the back and their legs out the door. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how much I really want to do that. And so it sort of re-energized me. I applied for flight school and I got in. Had I not gotten into flight school, I probably would have separated from the military, because I did like it, but I felt like there was something more. But getting to flight school was then a game changer.
All right, so you got to flight school. So warrant officer candidate, become a warrant officer. What, W01, I guess. Go to flight school as a W01.
No, what's different today is that you actually get commissioned as a W1 pretty early in the pipeline. Back then, you didn't get it until you were done flight school. So you go through as a warrant officer candidate. And what it does is it changes your date of rank, is what it really does. I mean, you're still treated like you're an idiot, whether you're a W1 or not, but your date of rank changes. Yeah.
You guys, I made the joke earlier about the warrant officer mafia. Yeah. Y'all are as warrant officers, you're technicians, you're technical specialists. You have niche, basically skills and knowledge, but you're also this kind of in between that. Folks who are junior in rank or junior as officers always look at you like, I don't know what to do with you right now. Right. Can I tell you what to do? I'm not sure. Yeah. And but y'all kind of ride in the middle a lot of times, it seems like.
And we're the ones that keep everything running.
And you are the ones that keep everything running. Yeah. There's the backbone of the Army and the NCO Corps, and then there's y'all that keep things running. Right. But all right, so you became a warrant officer. You went to flight school down at Fort Rucker, which is now called Fort Rucker again soon, it looks like. Yeah. But coming up, and we were talking about your raisings, so to speak, up there in New Hampshire. We're going to go forward into your story here in a few minutes. But what about being raised, where you were, who you were with, whatever else? What do you think instilled things in you that you wound up needing later on? Like, was it sports? Was it family? Was it faith? What did you see in your life that you looked later on like, I'm glad I had that because it built me up?
Yeah, faith is certainly part of it. Now, my faith journey had its ups and downs, and the lowest point probably being post Somalia, when looking back at what happened there, based on what we were trying to do, it could, in my mind, there was no justification for the horrors that occurred there, and I couldn't accept it, because it was horrible. I mean, there's not a lot of things I've witnessed that were as bad as what happened there. And we were there for all the right reasons. So anyway, but faith is certainly part of who I am, and it's come full circle. I think playing sports helped a lot too.
Was it hockey?
I played hockey. I played football. I mean, I wasn't great, but I played. And you learn about working and teamwork and your role in the organization to make the overall team a success. And those things to me are invaluable if you can learn them when you're young. So I think a combination of all those things.
Yeah. Good enough. It's amazing sometimes what we draw on later. You don't even realize you've got it now. I can remember things as a kid that I didn't know that I grumbled about, and then later on you realize that instilled something. Yeah. So you went on, though, to do some pretty amazing stuff. So in the world of aviation, Army aviation, the 160th, which you're wearing the shirt right now.
I am wearing the shirt.
You are wearing the shirt.
By design.
Night Stalkers. So the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. I remember when I first got in, we called them Task Force 160.
Right.
But you guys were the premier Special Operations rotary wing guys. And how did you? I've never heard what is like. I know what selection is like to go to Ranger School. I know what selection is like to go to the Q course for Special Forces. But there's a selection process to go to the 160th. Am I right?
No, yeah. It's very similar, actually.
All right. So tell me about that.
So when I first found out about the unit, I was in Korea. And at the time, it was still what we call a black organization, meaning nobody publicly acknowledged that it existed because it had just.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I am Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP. We are talking about words. We are just looking at a story about Mom Donnie. I still don't know how he even has a whisper of a chance in NYC, but he does. And apparently, parents, if you're in New York and you have a gifted child, and we all think our children are gifted, but if you have a child in a gifted program, he's going to phase it out.
I mean, let's just make good little robot soldiers. Everybody just dumb. Don't question. Don't use your brain.
Compliant, dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
It's really sad. And this is what, I mean, but he at least is being who he says he is, which is a socialist, Marxist, communist,
he was asked
whatever he is.
This week, he was like, the reporter said, Trump says you're a communist. Is that true? He goes, no, I'm not a communist. I'm a democratic socialist. And I'm like, oh, what? That makes things so much better.
It goes back to words.
Right?
Yeah.
It's words. It's
Same
all
thing.
words. And when you believe that it's okay to lie or that your definition of truth, which is impossible to change, but they change it because they're living in their own delusional bubble, then of course, no. I'm a democratic socialist.
I mean, if you want government-run grocery stores, I think you're a communist. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you're a communist.
That's probably the most, and free rent. Don't forget free rent. Free everything. I don't know who's going to pay for it, but apparently this is his glorious idea. I don't know why that people in New York wouldn't challenge him on the way that he lives, or the way that he was married and defended at his father's compound with all these, I don't even know what, soldiers. It's crazy. It's words.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just don't participate in the culture of changing words anymore. And maybe when somebody says, you've misgendered me, sorry.
So, I don't know if I can say what just came to my mind.
What were you going to say? What?
I was going to say, like, can I look at JP and say, you look very gay today?
No.
You look very happy.
That's true. That's what gay actually means.
It does.
It's true.
It is. I mean, what is the Christmas song?
Happy and gay.
Gay apparel.
Yeah.
But then they took the rainbow too, which used to mean
rainbow?
a Christian thing, and now it's a gay thing.
But I'm pretty sure the Lord's like, nope, it still means that I'm remembering you and I'm remembering the covenant I made with you. But that's just all right, guys.
But how did we get? I just, if you think about it, and I don't know why it just dawned on me, like, think about where America was in the 1950s when you were a communist and you had to hide and go to secret meetings, or you were going to be,
right,
taken out through the town square and ridiculed.
And have some shame.
And now they're literally, he is like the hero of New York City, and that's who they're about to elect. Like, how did we get here? And that's not that long.
School.
Yeah, they don't properly teach history.
Because think about it, Howard Zinn is behind the textbooks. Years ago, I had started a column about Howard Zinn. Do you know who Howard Zinn is?
Tell me who Howard Zinn is.
So he is a faux historian, but he rewrote. He was an activist. He was a perv, and he had a hand in rewriting our children's textbooks starting way, way back. And so the history that our kids are learning isn't true. He wrote it to favor these Marxist communist ideas. There's a book about Howard Zinn and I'm actually going to go back and do a deep dive. And we've been Zenned, basically. But I think, and I don't mean is Zen, I mean Zinned,
Actually,
Howard
kind of both.
Zen. But he's quite the character. But it's people like that had a hand in the 70s, slowly but surely. Intellectual creep took over our textbooks. Then it took over our classrooms. And then our children now have been trained in Common Core for 20 years, 25 years. I mean,
that happened,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so this is, it's what
we ended up
happened.
with.
JP. No, our kids are great. They know they're smart. JP is a very smart young man. But that's when it happened. I think we use the classrooms. You've done a lot with that, Allison, with local. But that's where I think the horrible laboratory of our children's heart, souls, and minds were infected. Then they're taught by Marxists in college. And so the learning is complete. For how many years do they go to school and learn how to become Caesar and then they come out? Voila. Yes, socialism sounds wonderful. Of course we want that. They have no idea how many people communists have actually killed. Or the whole idea of Lysenkoism and offing people with their food. We did it in COVID, offing people with drugs and medicine. We've done it, and here we are.
Mom, you have your churches that are just
Allison
backing everything up. There's no discourse. There's no counterbalance to that. It's really sad.
Well, maybe the great citizens of New York City just need to find out. Like,
I do think that.
Like, maybe they get what they vote for, and then in about 3 or 4 years, they realize this is awful. Then maybe they, if they want to say, well, socialism hasn't been actually tried in the correct way, then maybe they can just find out for themselves. If they're so stubborn and they are clueless, then maybe they just need to find out. I hate to say it because New York City is like the greatest American city.
Right.
But if they need to learn, then I guess.
I think you're right. But Allison, you brought up a really good point.
I don't know what it was.
The churches went alongside it. And I think in the 3 o'clock hour, we should probably discuss, because I would love your opinions on this. I think you're exactly right. Also, would love to do hot flash news.
I got some hot flash
in
news.
The 3 o'clock hour. And just as we go to break, because we've been talking about words, just for a second, maybe a little laughter. There's a couple of silly words that have been changed. But you're going to have to wait.
Can you say the silly words?
Yeah, they're silly. But these are the words that have been banned for 2025. And some of them I think you guys are going to be glad to see go.
Okay. I'm going to think of some of those.
Yeah.
Like trivia.
Yeah, exactly.
You're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
Formed in the aftermath of the attempted rescue of the Iranian hostages.
Right.
That's why the unit was created, because the analysis indicated that, look, you can't just throw together a bunch of assets and go try to do a complicated mission like this. It's not going to work. And so they created the unit, and there was going to be a second attempt, but most people don't know that. But the unit started training long-range missions in the desert, all the things that were required to go prosecute that target. And we're pretty much getting to the point where they were ready to go, and then the hostages got released. But the smartest decision maybe ever made by our government was, okay, well, the hostages are released, but we still need this capability. So let's keep the organization intact, fund it, obviously, because everything runs on funding, unfortunately. And today, I mean, it's just an amazing organization. It's gotten more amazing over the years. So when I found out about it, it was, like I said, it was still black. And it's like people whispered about it in bars, and it's like, wow, I read Tom Clancy books. That sounds really cool, And I was getting assigned to Fort Campbell, which is where the headquarters for the 160th is. So I'm thinking, all right, I go to Fort Campbell. I walk across the street, knock on the door, say, hey, I'm interested. What do I need to do? And I made the mistake of signing into the 101st Airborne Division before I went and talked to the 160th. And by doing that, committed me to 2 years in the 101st. But in the end, best thing that could have happened to me.
Got a lot of stick time doing that.
I did get a lot of stick time. And in Korea, I'd flown medevac. And medevac is, it's great experience. You got to make a lot of decisions on the fly, quick response, bad weather, and you're flying by yourself. I was 22 years old. I'm flying real world medevac missions, as the pilot in command.
No kidding. Yeah.
I mean, you mature faster, or you die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically how it works.
And others die with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a great experience. But what I didn't have is multi-ship, meaning like formation flying, not a lot of, I mean, I had a decent amount of night vision goggle time, but not a ton. And you really need a lot of night vision goggle time to do well at the 160th. So getting that extra 2 years on 101st really helped me out. I went to the instructor pilot school while I was in 101st. So now I'm an IP. I got much more time. I got a lot more formation flying experience.
Yeah.
And then the process begins. So the assessment, again, it's a volunteer organization. So everybody that goes there on the pilot side is a volunteer. And then you have to go through an assessment, a lot like some of these other special units that you're familiar with. I mean, it's a psych eval, it's a swim test, physical fitness test, flight eval, board, all that stuff. And it happens in about a 3 or 4 day period. The board's always the most dramatic because you show up with your dress uniform on, you go in there and a bunch of people look like they want to hit you. And they ask you very difficult questions and try to put you in uncomfortable situations. And, there is no right answer. They just want to see how you answer the question, what your makeup is. And that just begins the process. So then you enter Green Platoon if they decide to take you. Green Platoon has changed quite a bit, but, by the time you start to end, it's about 10 months. Where you're going through, again, land navigation, life-saving, physical fitness, just, all the things that, soldiering in general require at a high level. And then you start basic nav where you're navigating in the cockpit with a map and a compass. Because even today, I think the priority is, hey, look, you need to know how to navigate, even though you got multiple systems in the aircraft that'll get you there.
Right.
When I was first in, GPS wasn't even in the aircraft yet.
Not at all.
The global positioning system. I'm assuming everybody knows what that is. But so we really did rely on a paper map and a compass. But you have to hit targets in the middle of nowhere at night with very limited resources and be able to do it every time plus or minus 30 seconds. And it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, depending on where you're trying to go, that can be a pretty difficult task.
I can tell you it's hard doing it on the ground.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys have a different terrain markers from up there, but you're also flying by it a lot faster, so you're having to keep track with the terrain.
Pretty quickly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it starts with the planning process. You got to pick the right checkpoints, in order to help you find your way. And then you learn the aircraft systems because the aircraft have different systems than the conventional force does. So you got to learn how all that works. Then you got to learn the special tactics like things like fast rope maneuvers and aerial refueling now.
I was going to ask about that.
All of that stuff is all unique to the unit. So you have to learn all that and demonstrate proficiency.
Was
ship
Black Hawk
landing.
your airframe at the time too, right away?
Well, it was for me. It's different now because it's a pretty expensive aircraft to fly to put all those hours on it. So now they actually start out in Little Birds, which are the Hughes 500s basically, for all that basic nav stuff, and then they move to the advanced aircraft.
Okay.
So again, all that takes about 10 months. And then again, kind of like Jared said, then you arrive at the unit and you're still nobody because you're the FNG, basically, if anybody knows what that acronym stands for.
It's the one we won't say, but
I mean, there are people that won't even talk to you. I mean, you have not proven yourself. You just because you got through Green Platoon means nothing, right? You have to then make your way through the progression, basic mission qualified, full mission qualified, and then the ultimate level is flight lead.
And I'm assuming Green Platoon actually weeds people out too.
Oh yeah.
So you have some that are there and they're not there the next day.
Oh, you lose people in assessment, you lose people in all phases of Green Platoon, and then you lose some people once they get to the unit because either the deployment schedule is too much for them or they just aren't performing the way you thought they were going to perform, even though they got through all that. When the rubber actually meets the road, sometimes it doesn't work out.
Was it of any benefit to you at all that you had your Spanish language skills that were already there? I mean,
no, probably
in some special
not.
operations, they want a language skill to be attached to it, but is that necessary at all in aviation?
No, not really. Right. No, I think in that case, it probably didn't help me a whole lot. I mean, the more you know about the more things, it's obviously going to help you in life. But I can't think of a specific example where that helped me out.
So you guys, you said you had some flying with nods and night vision ahead of your time going to Green Platoon and getting into the 160th. But But you guys fly with it a lot when you're in the 160th, right? Is that one of the things that differentiates the 160th capabilities, aside from the airframe having some other capabilities too? But is flying with nods a big part of what y'all do?
Yeah, certainly at the time. I would say now there's maybe the focus is broader. I mean, across the entire military.
Yeah.
But the unit was pioneers in night vision goggle flight. I mean, our guys were the ones that came up with the idea. When I went through flight school, we actually flew with what are called full face goggles, meaning they have a frame around them where you cannot see.
We're complicit.
Now you're meddling.
Yeah.
You're just meddling.
I'm meddling now. How Christians perhaps have played a part unwittingly. We're gonna give some grace, but then some no. Then I do have banished words. We do have hot flash news. And then the 4:00 hour, we are going to be joined by Jared Hudson. Yay for that. And whatever else we get ourselves into. Like we don't know.
We don't.
We're flexible that way.
JP seems to be able to roll with it though. I mean, like
JP's awesome.
I go wherever the tide goes.
Literally.
I
I saw
didn't mean
what
it.
you did there. I saw what you did
I
there.
didn't mean it that way, but that too. Yes.
Are you the Tide truck outside?
No, I'm not the
Wow.
Tide truck outside. Actually,
I was like, he's really committed.
no.
I'm the Auburn car. So I mean, there's nothing.
I'm the.
Can't say.
We
anything.
were connecting on some things. We have family in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
What? Y'all are Yankees together?
My mom's side of the family, my great grandfather came to Pennsylvania from Ireland, and my mom's side of the family has been in Altoona ever since. So,
And when I was adopted, Altoona is where I was adopted at birth, like came home from the hospital to my mom and dad. That's where they lived, is Altoona, PA. Of all the places in the world. Isn't that wild?
it's pretty
that
small
is
world.
weird.
Isn't that
And then
weird?
y'all have other connections too. Y'all are
We
really
do.
best friends and you didn't know it.
Totally, obviously. So thank you for the text. I see Marshall, who's legit in Dubai. We should take a field trip, Allison, to Dubai.
I think I would love that, but it's really hot over there.
Dubai's a little. Well, Dubai.
Well, wait, will we die?
No.
Oh, well, we have to wear.
No, but Dubai is really secular, but they're still pretty strict on some stuff.
So what are you saying, JP?
Are you saying we'd have to cover up?
No, you wouldn't have to cover it, but I've heard stories of like women being thrown in jail there for being too loud and stuff like that.
Oh, we
We
not
can't go.
survive.
So-
All right, Marshall,
Uh-uh.
we're canceling the field trip.
Yeah, no,
We
I don't
would
have
have
time
obviously
for jail.
brought our husbands, but I'm just saying it'd be fun to go to
No.
Dubai. I'd go to jail, straight to jail.
Yeah, I'm not. When we went to China and Guatemala to pick up 2 of our
Oh.
kids, 2 out of 4, I dyed my hair dark because I was like, I mean, I don't know.
Allison,
What?
are
I
you
did-
serious
Wait, is that-
right now?
Is that? No, I was like, I don't know if they've ever seen blonde hair, and they might be really scared. Is that bad?
Well, China may not be. Well, I don't know. They could be, but I mean, you gotta
It'd
play
have
it
been fine in
safe.
Guatemala.
I don't know if they. Honestly, I was like, they may never seen a white person.
Listen, we had the opportunity to
less a
travel
blonde.
when I was in high school with my parents. My mom is blonde, and that was always fun. And you're right, blonde hair is a whole thing. My little brother,
Yeah.
very blonde when we were kids. It was an entire thing. So I hear you. I hear
mean,
what
you
you're
just
saying.
don't know.
But you know what? Marshall is saying that language, as we were talking about in the last hour, it was Clinton, politically correct garbage when Clinton took office.
I did not.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I won't
Wait.
finish it. But anyway,
But that's
way to use semantics.
Is depends on what is. Who had ever heard of that before? Mike from Florence. Shout out to Florence, Alabama.
Y'all are from everywhere.
Yeah.
Early 70s elementary school, when the teacher said gay, my classmates snickered long before I knew why. Affirmative action, DEI, same things, different words. Amen. Inclusion, one word meaning the same thing as excludes white males, just as affirmative action did. Misinformation, sugar-coated word for lies. I love that.
Mm.
Wait a minute. Let's sit with that for a minute.
Yeah, can you reread?
I'm going to go the whole thing.
Yeah,
'cause this
do it
is,
again. I'm putting my brainacle on.
This is
Here we go.
Okay, everybody.
Go.
Mike from Florence.
Those people up there are
Early,
so smart.
they're so smart. And what a great town. We'll be there tomorrow.
I've never been there.
Oh, it is so great. And there's a great antique row.
It is great.
We love Florence.
All right, let's go there before we go to Dubai.
Early 70s, elementary school. When the teacher said gay, my classmates snickered long before I knew why. Affirmative action, DEI, same thing. That's exactly right. Different words.
Okay.
Inclusion, one word meaning the same thing as excludes white males.
Mm-hmm.
Just as affirmative action did. Misinformation, sugar-coated word for lies.
Wow. Who is that again from Florence?
Mike.
Do we have Rammy awards here? We might have to bring the Rammy back.
You want to tell everybody what the Rammy was?
Well, yeah, I won't say it though.
Okay. All right.
But so apparently Scott Beeson is a friend of ours.
He's hosted the show once before.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Scott
He's our
Beeson
buddy.
used to be a senator. He was there with Phil.
Yes.
Yeah. They took on they were there in 2010.
They stormed the State House.
They did. And so Scott said when he got to the State House, he kept hearing legislators talk about the Rams. And he's like, oh, the Rams are here. Oh, the Rams are downstairs. Oh, the Rams. And he's like, what? I don't know what the Rams are. Turns out the Rams are me and you. They're the commoners. And it was for the raggedy beep multitude.
Oh, I see.
And so anytime the people would show up at the State House, they'd be like, oh, the Rams are here again. So anyway, we decided we were going to start giving out a Rammy Award to those that stood up for the Rams and just spoke some truth. So I don't know. We're only like halfway through, but I think that might be our Rammy for the day.
So the Rams is like the opposite of rhinos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So we are saying bravo with our Rammy Award.
Yeah.
John Paul says that apparently, according to the internet, the word female's been banned. That's hilarious.
Yeah, pregnant people too from others.
Oh
Yeah.
my word. So
Hold on.
Connor from Huntsville, is this your son? He's not in Huntsville.
He's
Replacing equality with equity changes the whole basis for a conversation, and it's been very, very destructive. Also, bravo, Connor.
Yes, that's good. Is it Connor with an O or an E?
Oh. Matt in Madison says, more Archie Bunker, less double woke talk. Less woke double talk. Sorry, I got that in backwards.
Well,
Doesn't
say
matter.
it again.
More Archie Bunker, less woke double talk.
Like it.
Bravo.
Like it.
And then Joe in Tennessee says,
shout out to my Tennessee Vols.
oh, this is interesting. Hang on a second. Are you reading that? Can I say that?
Oh, I don't know.
Wait. Just it'll be like a
Okay, we'll just
fun game. We'll figure out.
Just substitute it with gay. Gay is as gay does.
Okay. My first contact with indoctrination was at a rural high school in North Alabama starting in September 1966. See, I told y'all this has been around a while. You need to go
66,
read.
That's before I
mean, we're not here
that's
yet.
a long time ago.
But Cleon Skousen's book, The Naked Communist, he was an FBI informant. That book changed my life and it changed how I saw everything. Excellent. Recommend 10 out of 10. Okay. But September 1966, because he's saying this stuff started in the 50s, and I think he's right. This guy ignored the indoctrination and went to trade school starting in September 1971. 42 and a half years later, I retired, glad to have skipped college. Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Y'all are on fire today because you're right. Words matter.
Wait, where was the word we were supposed to?
Well, we're not saying that word. We're not saying that.
Well,
word.
now I'm super curious.
Allison.
And feel left out.
I'm pretty sure it'd be okay, but I'm not taking chances.
Okay, no, I don't want to get
Okay.
put in jail.
Karen, I hear you. Yes. Chest feeding replaced breastfeeding.
Oh.
The homeless. Now, here is a dang good word. The homeless,
The unhoused.
are now people experiencing homelessness or the unhoused.
Y'all, this is just dumb.
It's so dumb.
This is like you can say it in
Super
one
dumb.
word. Why do we have to say it in 48?
Just like illegal aliens got replaced with undocumented citizens.
It's just I'm about to That's all I can't say.
Are you sure?
I gotta have the dump button ready. I
I
guess.
know this is
Get
bad.
ready. Alert, alert, alert.
This is bad, but I don't have time for this. Like, this is just getting ridiculous.
It's dumb.
Like what Karen said with chest feeding replacing breastfeeding. That's how we get Pete Buttigieg becoming a breastfeeder. You remember that?
Yeah, but was that real?
That was real.
Are you sure?
That's
He actually
shameful.
he took maternity leave too. When
Oh my
yeah,
God.
Does
Which
anybody?
is so offensive to, like, we've actually birthed babies.
Yeah, like
and
been
you
there,
need
done
to
that.
leave.
Like,
okay, you
no.
can't keep going.
Also, does anybody want to tell them when you die, they're going to mark if you've decided you're trans, for example, you're still a man or a woman? Yeah. Is anybody going to tell them?
Well, but I think maybe the marker people are dumb enough to be like, well, they identified as.
you put it on the grave. So then, like the people who are like the future generations are gonna be confused. Like, wait, what? It says it's a her, but
This is look, and it's been around since forever. I mean, we know in Rome there were like we know it's been around forever.
Yeah, but that's really.
But come on.
Yeah, but they didn't claim to actually be women.
They
Right.
didn't claim to be
And
women,
chest
and they
feeders.
didn't demand that people change the language to accommodate their delusional needs.
Yeah.
Actually, wants. It's not a need. It's a want.
Yeah.
We can't accommodate this anymore, you guys. We can't do it.
Here.
Okay, listen, we're going to get into so many other things on the other side.
Are we?
We are.
I'm excited.
You ready?
I'm ready. You're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be back.
Anything other than what you see through the tubes. And we did flights during the daytime with filters on the ends of the tubes where the instructor can see, but you can't, because obviously that's the safest way to learn how to fly night vision goggles. But it's really difficult for the person actually flying under those conditions. I think I was actually the last class to ever fly full face goggles and do day filters. I'm not sure, but we made a transition right around that time. But it was guys at the unit who said, "This is stupid. Cut the frame off," right? Because they're originally made for ground use, not air use.
Yeah.
So they cut the frame off and they made them flip up, and you know, there's
I've
been
used those
evolution
things
after
before.
evolution.
They got the big cushion pad around.
Yeah,
they're like,
the full
like this
face ones.
big.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't last very long, but that's where it started, you know, until somebody said, no, we need to change this. And then they came up with ideas like finger lights and lip lights and infrared lasers and infrared tracers and all these things that you can see with night vision goggles that you can't see with the unaided eye. All were, you know, basically came from that early
So how much of that
stage.
training is done by simulators now? Do they do that?
A
by
lot,
simulation?
a lot.
Yeah.
Simulators are really good. It was actually part of what I did after,
At
you know,
Pinnacle?
I transitioned out, was working that field. And it's a tremendous cost saver and safety. You know, I mean, you can do things in a simulator that are sometimes impossible to do in the aircraft, but certainly safer to do in a simulator. And you can do it cost effectively, because a lot of what's going on in the aircraft today that are advanced is mission management. It's not so much moving the sticks around, it's pushing buttons and understanding how to use the integrated avionics. And you don't need to learn how to do that in a, you know, aircraft that costs whatever, you know, $10,000 an hour to fly. Now, I'm not saying you don't need stick time. Okay, that's the trap that some bean counters tend to fall into. That
There's always that seat of the pants feel that changes things.
and actually the Army has come to realize that the aircraft they've been using for primary flight training at Fort Rucker now probably isn't the best, because you're not doing enough actual stick flying. There's a lot of automated systems on board that help the aircraft, or help you as a pilot, that you're losing that real ability to fly manually.
Yeah.
And they just did a pilot program where they're going to probably change how flight school is done, because there's been a realization that we got people that don't know how to fly a helicopter. I mean, they can mission manage all day long, but if they have to actually fly a bird, they're not as good as we used to be, unfortunately.
So let me ask you this: what now? The 160th, y'all are balls out a lot. So when you're flying, some of the stuff you're doing are not the things you would do or even be allowed to do in a conventional unit. But then you're also, like you said, you were back in the days when things were being pioneered. And I swear, I think it was you told me one time about strapping strapping a Gatling gun or something to the front of one of the birds just to try it out to see if it would work, and it didn't work very well.
Well, am
I right in remembering that?
Yeah, I was part of the group that created the Arm Blackhawk.
Okay,
and it's still the only place that it's used is at the 160th.
All right,
and yeah, we were running with scissors. I mean, we put a 50 cal, and these things are being mounted just on what was originally intended to be a door gunner pintle mount. So it's not really structurally designed to hold, a fixed forward weapon, but we modified it to where it could. And I mean, we had
duct tape, a little zip tie.
Oh, plenty of duct tape. Yeah, even coat hangers. I mean, you name it, whatever it took. But it was an amazing time to be there because you could go from sitting in the team room saying, "Man, it would be cool if we could do this," to convincing the leadership that there's some risk here, but we think we can mitigate it. Let's go try it. To then, that worked, writing a requirement and actually getting it turned into something that is fielded, and then go shoot it in combat. I mean, there's probably nowhere else in the world you could say that. And I mean, I experienced that on more than one occasion.
So what was the craziest thing you can remember y'all did and thought, "Well, we're never to do that again"? The one that you sit around at 160th reunions going, "Remember that time?"
Yeah. Well, one of the most amazing stories, and I've told it many times. I like to joke that I shot myself down 5 times. And the most dramatic one, and none of it my fault, but the most dramatic one. So back to this pintle mount with a minigun on it. So a minigun is a 7.62 Gatling gun,
right.
6-barrel. It'll shoot 6,000 rounds a minute at high rate. Okay, that is incredible. When people see video, like if you go online, you Google minigun, night firing, keep in mind all those traces you're seeing, that's every 14th round. Okay, or every 15th round. It's 14-to-1 tracer mix usually. So even though it's a steady stream of tracers, there's 14.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP. Jeff in Indiana. Hello, sir. He's right. Ladies, what's sad is liberals will call you every name in the book like Hitler, Nazi, homophobe, and so on, but you won't hear them call someone who claims to be trans, gender dysphoric, dysphobic.
Dysphobic.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because you're scared of your own gender.
Yeah.
You
can't, look, whatever you do today, do not tell the truth.
I'm about to have a really boomer moment, JP.
What's up?
On my hand, my phone. Can you send this to yourself?
Allison has.
I don't know how to send the thing through the thing in the internet.
She needs some help.
Well, it's something that just came across my the Twix account, that just sums up what a stupid world we live in right now. Like this, and it's embarrassing because Chattanooga, prepare yourself. And then, I grew up in Knoxville. This is happening in the great state of Tennessee. And I cannot believe that this conversation was had on the floor of the Tennessee House. It is embarrassing. It is ridiculous. And it is just how far, it shows how far we've gone into clown world. How'd you do that, JP? How'd you do that?
You press the share button.
I know. Okay. It's just a miracle it got there. But I couldn't agree more. We've jumped the shark. Y'all know?
We have jumped the shark.
Yeah. JP probably doesn't know what that means.
Do you know what that means?
Negative.
I'm going to see if any of our listeners, surely I'm not you know what that means, right?
We jumped the shark.
But do you know where it's from?
Probably from.
Nope. We're going to see if our listeners can tell us.
Do y'all know where the phrase jumped the shark came from?
Maybe I'm just.
But we did jump the shark. And this is where bad ideas, because these ideas we are living with right now, we're forced to interact with them.
Yeah.
Have consequences. And bad ideas, in this case, lived out, are bringing real tragic consequences with it. Like, I can't even believe this is an actual conversation that they're having in Nashville.
Yep.
About a type of marriage.
Do you want to do it, or what do you want to do? So
It's up to y'all.
do you have it? Did it go through the interwebs and make it to you, JP?
It went through the interwebs, but it's currently loading, trying to download the video.
Okay.
So,
well, we don't need the video, but we'll
but
just
the live stream does. We got to show the live stream. The
Okay.
visual
Oh, I forgot
aspects
about
of it.
that.
All right.
I forget about the streams of live.
Well, we probably got like 3 minutes anyway, so
Okay.
I don't have enough time to play it.
Anybody know what Jump the Shark means?
Yes, Allison Sinclair.
Oh,
they
we got
do.
a bunch of texts from that. Yes.
Okay. Go Happy Days. Yeah. Okay.
Yay!
Happy Days.
I'm not-
Mike, Matt, Michael. Happy Days. Fonzie did a water skiing stunt jumping over a shark. It's referring to when a show or such does something really crazy out there just to draw attention for ratings. John from Huntsville. Happy Days. Tony. Happy Days? I'm only 37, so I'm just guessing.
Tony, good on you.
Tony. Allie. It's from Happy Days. Y'all know. Jeff. Maybe JP can do it with a leather jacket. You
He
can
doesn't
jump
even
the
get
shark.
it. He doesn't get it. Oh.
Fonzie wore a leather jacket.
Do you know who Fonzie is?
I've heard. Yes.
Oh,
I'm
the
pretty sure.
Fonz.
You know what your homework is?
What's that?
Watch Happy Days.
Can you find the
And
clip
Jack.
where he jumps the shark?
Fonzie jumping the shark.
Yeah.
So Jack in Huntsville says when they ran out of plot ideas and had Fonzie water ski over a shark tank. It's true.
It's just like we've moved, just like the Fonz. We have moved into the ridiculous. We have jumped the shark. Reality has left the building, and we are no longer operating in it. And it's terrifying because you get crap like what just happened on the Tennessee floor. And I'm just going to set this up while it finishes downloading. There's a Democrat that's sponsoring a bill that has to do with marriage and gay marriage. Okay. There is a Republican that wants to argue a point regarding who should be allowed to marry in these gay unions. And I'm not going to spill it, but y'all are going to have to listen closely to what this Republican from Brentwood, Tennessee is arguing for.
Well, I got.
What does that mean?
That's 1 minute.
Oh, I thought you were like,
no, I don't do. I'm not that kind of person. No, like, excuse me. No. But I got to download it. We can play it on the other side.
okay,
So,
we'll do it because y'all are going to die.
You know what? So never think that these ideas don't have consequences. They always do. So I guess from now on, just listen to conversations, and you may be the only one that says, no, I'm not playing along, but we've got to teach our kids who are in school, who are most vulnerable, not to play along. But you will not believe what just happened on the tennis. Did it just happen on the floor?
I need to go back.
Well.
John Rich just tweeted about it. He's like,
yeah, he tweeted it yesterday. So I believe it was
to happen
recent.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, that was yesterday. I'm behind.
It's okay.
That's what happens when you get old. You're just a little behind.
You're just
catch
doing
up.
the best you can.
Catch up.
You don't know the date. It's fine.
Doesn't matter.
Does it?
Doesn't matter. All right. We'll have the clip of the Tennessee House floor. For once, it's not Alabama. On the other side. We'll be right back.
Rounds in between each one of those you're not seeing. That's how many rounds are going downrange. So we got one on each side. And the way that we fixed forward mounted them is we put this, we called it a diaper pin. It was a pin that went through the pivot, which, because, you know, if it's a door gunner, they're going to want to be able to pivot it, right?
Right.
We have to fix that. So we put a brace to hold it vertically, and then we put this pin through the shaft it's rotating on to hold it horizontally. And then it's a diaper pin because it goes around and it has a hook on the end that connects on the end.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Which sounds like that should be sufficient. Well, it is until it isn't. And I'm flying with Donovan Briley, who's a really good friend of mine, lost in Somalia, actually. First aircraft shot down. We're flying. He's in the right seat. I'm in the left. Night vision goggles. We're going in a range at Fort Knox. Live fire. You know, no dry run. We got approval to usually have to make a dry pass to make sure there's nobody out there, but we got approval to go in hot. So we roll in. I'm flying. I pull the trigger, and the tracers are crossing in front of the nose. And so I let off.
That's bad, by the way.
Yeah, I let off
Don't
with the
cross
trigger.
the streams.
And I said, that is the worst expletive bore sight job I have ever seen in my life. So a bore sight is when you orient the weapons to where they're going to impact where the sight is pointing, right? And Donovan, in classic Donovan style, says, Mike, I think we got a problem. So I look over, and I mentioned the finger lights earlier. Finger light is just a little battery-operated LED that is infrared, so you can't see it unless you're wearing goggles. We have some that you can see. This one you could see. And he turns on his finger light and he points to the windshield. His minigun, that diaper pin can't come out while we were flying to Fort Knox. And when I pulled the trigger, the barrel rotation caused the gun to go left. You would think the wind would cause it to go right, but the barrel rotation caused it to go left.
Force.
And it shot through the cockpit. It missed his knee by like 3 inches. He's got 7.62 rounds all through the cockpit. The windshield's blown out. Glass has been, because I felt something in my eyes, and it turned out it was glass shards from the rounds going through the cockpit.
Mighty Mike.
And again, luckily, it hit. He had a armor panel on the side here, and the barrels hit the front of the armor panel, I think, but it stopped them from going any further, or it would come right through the cockpit and kill us both. And anyway, we landed, and what I like to say about this story is, this is back when it seemed like we had a little bit of authority to do things that maybe you'd get crushed for today. So I'm thinking about, okay, nowhere in the manual does it say I can't have holes in the windshield to fly this bird. So we put duct tape, back to the duct tape, over the holes in the windshield, cranked it up, and flew it back to Fort Campbell.
No,
today that would probably get you
with your finger off the trigger the whole time.
we emptied the rounds out of the weapons, but that's probably the most dramatic thing that ever happened non-combat. That I can come up with, and then there were 4 more of those that are less exciting. But
no, that's but yeah, that's definitely one of those you swap over a beer and like, oh no, let me tell the time we shot ourselves down.
Yeah,
that's
so they don't use the diaper pins anymore.
All right, so op tempo for you, you're in the 160th. Operational tempo is higher than the average unit, I would imagine, but it's a lot of come and go. What's the op tempo like in the 160th?
Nonstop. Again, I was out when 9/11 occurred. I'd retired 6 months prior.
Really?
Made me feel like I was sitting on the bench and considered what I could do to get back in. But with my injuries from Somalia, I couldn't fly operationally anymore. But the reason I bring that up is just to put this in perspective. The rotation for our guys during the War on Terror was 90 days on, 90 days off. So you're in theater 90 days, either Iraq or Afghanistan, you're back for 90, then back in. There are guys who did 30 rotations, 30 in combat. And when I say combat, I mean combat. Yeah. They're hitting multiple targets.
Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP, having a thankful Thursday. Thankful we're able to be with y'all. Thankful for all of your texts. We appreciate them. Thankful for good conversation. And the conversation right now is about something that happened in the Tennessee State House, it appears, which is absolutely bonkers. And by the way, Jeff from Indiana said he could wave hi to this Tennessee rep. I'm going past Brentwood right now, which is where he says he's right. The rich people live.
Which is a whole other segment about how rich, white, liberal women are actively destroying this country. As we speak.
100%.
Because there's no way this state representative is actually... like somebody is telling him to advocate for this, or he's
got a family member and he's like,
or he's closeted.
I don't know, but you gotta hear this, you guys.
Simply tries to sweep under the rug the fact that my Democratic colleagues do not want to address the fact that there is no compelling state interest to prohibit a male first cousin from marrying a male first cousin, do you also agree, sponsor, that there is no public health risk between or caused by a male first cousin marrying a male first cousin?
Representative Jordan.
Ew.
Thank you. I would say that public health is not listed in my bill at all. It's just you can't marry your cousins. Representatives, if you want, as your amendment suggested, first cousins to marry, that's fine. I don't think it for you, but I don't think it violates Oberfeld at all.
And the fact of the matter is that unless anyone in this body can articulate a compelling interest to deny a male first cousin from marrying a male first cousin, this bill demonstrably violates Obergefell, and we should vote it down.
Representative Jordan.
Okay. So I need to make sure I understood that correctly. He was arguing for male cousins being able to marry male cousins. Like beyond, is this even beyond the Amish? Be honest.
This is just I don't even get it. And let me just remind you that it was a Democrat who sponsored that bill. This is upside down world. A Democrat who sponsored that bill and says, well, it doesn't say anything about cousins. We don't need anything in there about being able to marry your cousin. And the Republican Rich Brentwood dude says, we all in Brentwood want to be able to marry our cousins.
Male
First cousins.
Okay.
Now, wait, what about the females?
It's just males, Allison. Don't you know?
That's a public health risk.
It's a man's world.
But why? I mean,
well, because
he knows somebody.
Because the men and women first cousins is,
No, I'm talking about the lesbian first cousins.
Oh, the women and women.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's not a public health risk either.
Yeah. So, like, why is he being all discriminatory?
Ideas have consequences, my friends.
I thought we didn't know what males were. I thought male and female
you're right.
were
Good point.
Well done.
And
we don't have a clue, obviously.
And suddenly we know how babies are made.
It's magic. Absolutely magic. Allison?
Yes?
We brought a lot of things up over the years together. I don't think that was one I had on my radar. Okay. Male cousins marrying male cousins. Did you get married in Alabama?
I got married in Tennessee.
Okay.
In Knoxville.
So, JP, when you get married, the marriage license, when Chris and I got married, asked if you were closer than third cousins. I wonder if that's still I can't even with that.
Well, they used to make you take a blood test and
no blood test when we got married.
Yeah. We didn't have one either.
You didn't have one either. Now, it's a good thing I'm adopted because Shavers and Dickinsons are in the family graveyard in South Alabama. Yeah, I've got pictures literally next to each other. It's fine. I know that's weird.
Wow.
That's weird.
Is that how your kids got so tall?
Yeah. Seems like
Weird.
it. But when we got married, that's on the that's on the question mark. No, we're not cousins. Here, this guy is legitimately saying, this is what should happen. This is what we're arguing for. What I want to know is, do you guys think the person arguing for male cousins to marry each other has a male cousin who wants to marry another male cousin? Was he put up to this?
I mean, who just comes up with that? I mean, I can't sleep at night sometimes, but that's not the things that I stew over in the middle of the night. How do you just say, today I'm going to go on the house floor and I'm going to argue
I don't
that
know.
men, forget the women, but I'm leaning towards yes, because it's very specific. Because he didn't say female cousins should be females should be able to marry their female first cousins. We were all left out of the equation.
I feel bad for that guy though, because that gives me the vibe of somebody that's compromised. Because he clearly has no shame to bring that up
you think
on the floor.
Yeah.
And so somebody brought him into their office and said, this is what you're going to bring up. Yeah. So, and I don't know why that person would want that brought up either, but
because they want to marry their first cousin.
I guess so. But you got to have some shame to to ask that publicly, and clearly that guy did not. So
he actually was very passionate about it too.
Yeah. Can somebody bring up a logical argument?
Yeah, if you have none, it's just embarrassing. I mean, there are lots of Tennessee jokes. Lots of Tennessee jokes.
So many jokes.
And we have our issues over there in the hills. But I thought we were leaving deliverance, at least not in the public square. Like, we're just not going to talk about it.
But think about it. This is these are men and women who've been elected by the people to go and serve, and they're okay having this conversation, like you just said, in public.
It kind of reminds me of during COVID, everything shut down.
Yeah.
Everything shut down. And Jabbo Wagner, who was my senator at the time, do you know what he lobbied for so hard?
Oh, dear.
Like, businesses are shutting down, vaccine mandates, people are getting fired, and Jabbo have to be able to have wine delivered to your house. And we need wine and beer for sale at the food trucks. And he actually got him passed. Actually got him passed. But I'm like, all the issues we have in the world, and the legislature is actually spending time on being able to marry your first cousin.
By the way, we got a comment on the Twitter live stream here. This guy's Kip from Morgan County. He said, "Good Lord, I need a drink after hearing that." Said, "I'll never look at Tennessee the same way again." I heard banjos in the background.
So bad. Oh, it's so true. And you probably need a shower too. I mean, it's just gross. Like we have lost any sense of decency or discretion, or there's just none of that. None of that.
No shame. That's the thing.
There's no shame.
There is no shame. And why is there no shame?
Because there's no truth.
And why is there no truth?
Because we hate God, and we have abandoned our just everything that made this country great, which I don't understand. Okay, this is a rant. This is a rant. Why in the world do you want to change? Like, all these people that are like, let everybody, the immigrants, they need a better life. Bring them here. We can give them a better life. But you're also actively trying to destroy the nation that gave them the opportunity to even have a better life. Like, I don't get it. It makes zero sense. But I don't think the left has much. There's not a reasoning. There's not a logic there.
Well, I did a monologue on that on Monday about what is an American. Can you just come to America, not be a Native American, but also go against all of the values that made America great? But then you can call yourself an American, like Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, who came to America. And by the way, if Ilhan Omar was fighting for all the stuff that made America great, that's one thing. But she came to America and profited off of what made America great. But now she's in her office saying in her own words that Somalia's identity will not fall while she's a representative. It's like, why does Somalia have anything to do with America, actually? And so she's riding the wave of what America great, while at the same time actively bashing it and trying to make America what she wants it to be. And I think that's the problem of the left in particular, of like, there's no American identity. America is just subjective, whatever you want it to be. You know, you can come here, you can be an American, and then you do whatever you want, because America's not real. It's just an idea. So,
and I think the other problem with that is that so many people argue for immigration and let's let them stay, live and let live. Except the problem is when those same people tried to use biblical arguments for the immigrant and the sojourner, it was always understood in Bible times that people were going to integrate. They were going to stay for a while. They were going to, if they stayed, become a citizen of that place. It's the same around the world, but here we've made it A-okay to come and keep your own identity, not become a melting pot, and then become outraged when we don't respect your identity. No, we're Americans, and we expect you to integrate. We expect you to learn the language. We expect you to become one of us if you really want to do that. And if not, then leave. We got to stop with that nonsense.
Gosh, and that's so hard. That brings up a whole other, I don't even know if we have time to go into this, but with the Islamic Academy that is in our neighborhood, that's trying to convert an office building basically to their community center and their playground and a K through 12 school. It gets really dicey when you start talking about that in America, and can they still have, how do they, because Muslims are very much married to their beliefs, and it's an integrative religion in how you live and how you function and your daily habits.
Where you have calls to prayer in Dearborn, Michigan over the sirens for everyone to hear.
Right. And so here it is, Hoover actually will vote on it. Planning and zoning will vote to rezone it on Monday night. And I'm really curious to see what the city of Hoover does with this, because there's also issues like, take the Muslim part out of it. Do you want a school at an office park? I had people texting me saying, I don't want to have a business meeting with kindergartners running around. There's a lot of traffic issues, but it is kind of this tension that we have in America now. What is an American? I don't know.
And the other part of the problem is with this particular issue, you see now Muslims, Mohammedans, it's what they have always been known. C.S. Lewis, Churchill called them who they were, is that they dominate and subjugate. And now they are out there in public saying exactly what they want to do, exactly why they want to do it, how they want to do it by getting elected to office. And then slowly but surely they're saying in their own words, and we want to take over. And where's the church been? Silent.
Yep. And they can say it and they can do it. But if you're a Christian, we can't have Christian as nationalism.
Yeah, that's not loving.
We couldn't play How Great Thou Art and say the Lord's Prayer 5 times a day over the loudspeaker. That would never work. So if it's going to be, I just like, how about we just be fair? How about we just be, I don't know, give us all a chance instead of, I'm tired of getting canceled all the time.
So tired.
I've been canceled like a million times.
It's fine.
It gets old. Fine. It gets so old. We have to take a break. How do these breaks come so fast?
I know.
Okay. We've got so much more to cover. So much more. You're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
And there's just no op tempo that's more demanding than that I know of.
That's every one of the airframes.
Yes.
Chinooks, Blackhawks.
Yeah, the Chinooks were the stars of Afghanistan, actually, because of the elevation, which was a real struggle for the Little Birds and even the Blackhawks. But Iraq was pretty much more a Blackhawk Little Bird show.
Yeah.
With certainly a lot of Chinook missions as well, but yeah, all the platforms.
Yeah, I was in my tour in Afghanistan was the beginning of the war, riding horses and stuff. But we were in the northern parts, north of the Hindu Kush, and so both Bagram and Kandahar down south couldn't get to us by rotary wing because getting over the top of the Hindu Kush was too much for most of the airframes they flew.
Yep.
And the only couple of times something happened where somebody came in from the south, I think they were flying Chinooks.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah,
because it's a beast. I mean, it really is. There's some.
It's a freaking school bus with rotors on top.
Yeah, we call it a dump truck, but I love it. Yeah, it's a great aircraft.
But I've seen images of. I mean, some of those guys that fly in the Chinooks, it's amazing. They can balance on a dime. But they literally, one guy was with the ramp down in the back was hovering in the air, exiting troops onto a mud hut on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, there's a famous picture from Afghanistan. That's probably it.
Yeah.
The front wheels are off in space, with hundreds of feet below. Yeah.
So you had some major deployments. Operation Prime Chance, which a lot of folks don't realize is defending tankers that were flagged American and making sure they're safe.
Our friends, the Iranians, who
they're in the news again.
They've I don't even know what to say about them. It's just they've been a constant problem for 50 years.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the Israelis are just to the point where they had to do something, and they did.
Yeah, and I think most of the world is glad they did. At the same time, holding their breath that they did.
Right.
But Operation Just Cause, so you're back in Panama again. And you went in with the 160th on that too, right?
Right. We did. We were there for 8 hours. So when the F-117 dropped the first bomb ever at Rio Hato, I was down there underneath watching it. It was pretty amazing.
Flying over places you've been to in the past, right?
Yeah. Some of the subsequent missions, there's where I used to live, and we're putting SEAL Team 6 in on targets around the city, trying to find, because Noriega was still on the run at the time. That our mission was to capture him. That was it.
Yeah.
And we called it the hunt for Elvis because there was always an Elvis sighting somewhere, and usually it was bogus, but if it met the intel criteria, we'd go. And so we were flying all over the place.
And then Desert Storm also, also with 160th. Obviously, all your deployments there with 160th. But what was the mission Desert Storm? Was it scud hunting or what?
It was, yeah. So the scuds, for those who don't recall, the concern was Saddam was launching scuds into Israel,
right,
which potentially would draw Israel into the fight, which would break up our coalition because our coalition had Arab countries along with Western countries as part of a unified force. But if the Israelis got involved, the concern was that would fall apart. So it was a huge issue to stop Saddam Hussein from firing scuds into Israel. So we were putting Delta Force on the ground in Western Iraq to try to find these launchers. And then we actually found some ourselves. And I was fortunate enough to put the first rounds on one.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
With an armed Black Hawk?
With an armed Black Hawk.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Take it out?
So in the end, they think it was a decoy. But there's a photo of it in this. I don't know if you've ever seen these books. Like there's an Army one, a Navy one, Air Force. There's a SOCOM book. They're big format, like coffee table books. Yeah. In that book for SOCOM, there's a picture of my FLIR. If you look at that picture, I don't care who you are, you're not going to think that's a decoy. I mean, so FLIR is forward-looking infrared. For those who don't know what that acronym is, it's heat sensitive, basically. You can see heat on the wheels. I mean, it looks real. I mean, this thing absolutely looks real. And then you can see the minigun rounds sort of hitting on the way up but it didn't blow up. And we had a Scud expert back at the operations center when we got back, and he said, "You're really lucky it didn't blow up, because if it blows up, it's like the space shuttle going off because there's so much propellant in there."
Oh, wow.
And we were pretty close. We were probably within 200 meters when we broke.
Oh, wow.
Break meaning you're diving, you're shooting, and then you break. And he said if you would have blown it up, it probably would have taken you out. So, okay. Glad it
take
didn't
that
blow
all
up.
day long.
Yeah.
You still.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. Allison Sinclair, look, we are the meme that says, "Do not look at me when we're in a serious situation." But we are discussing the rise of what's happening in our country, and that is the lack of integration and the clinging to of their religion for Muslims. We see Dearborn, Michigan. We know about Minnesota. We know that their new state flag is very similar to the Somali flag. We understand that this is an ideology with which we cannot befriend. Okay, I'm really sorry, but we cannot. But if you listen to them in their own words, you know exactly what they're doing. And many of them are out in public with it right now. But I came across a clip the other day, and maybe you saw this, of a police chief in Dearborn. But before that, can you go back to our caller? Because what he had to say about cousins marrying is terrifying.
Well, I mean, he brought up a good point of, look what is happening in England. And unfortunately, the influx of third world immigrants and Muslim immigrants, and how the Pakistani, now English immigrants, how much they have intermarried. And I mean, the Muslim culture as a whole is just a fact. I mean, they intermarry. That's not disputable. But the caller David from Tennessee was linking, potentially this could be, maybe the Tennessee representative or whoever he was bringing this up, maybe part of the tied to Islam, of the intermarrying aspect. And if maybe he was acting on behalf of, I don't know, a Muslim lobby or somebody, but acting on behalf of somebody who was pushing the intermarrying of cousins because of a Muslim agenda. That's a good point of it that I hadn't even thought of. But that's when you start to get really cynical and scared of, I'm sorry, And I'm not saying I've had teachers who have been Muslim, and I've known people who are Muslim, and I've known some great people who are Muslim. America is a Christian nation, and our culture is Christian culture. So I'm not saying that Islam doesn't have a place in America at all, but I think when you start to cross the line of making American culture Muslim culture, I think that's where there's a problem. And we've seen what happened in Europe, particularly England, and it's horribly sad. I don't want that to happen to America. So I think that was a good point David brought up. I didn't even realize that aspect of it.
But the Muslims, I mean, you get thrown off buildings if you're
that's why I cannot cross the line, and that's where it's like, what's the balance? Like, where's the balance between where it comes into culture, instead of just letting Islam have a place in America? Where is the line to draw where it starts to come into culture? And it's like, it's a hard game to play of technically freedom of a religion, but also we got to keep our identity as America. Yeah. So, and that's why it's important to ask, what is an American?
That is a great question. And it also is what Penny said in Athens. It's not a religion so much as a form of government masquerading as a religion. That's a deep thought. And I think she's right about that.
Write that one down.
Because what we're dealing with are people. Meanwhile, Christians are shoved into a corner if you stand up for what is right. If you decide to go along with culture, then you're the acceptable form of Christianity and all the iterations of that. But if you're with Islam and you're a Muslim, then you're allowed to do whatever you want, however you want. So are you telling us that if you're not dealing with the situation and you're not calling out what they are saying in their own words, just do an internet search of different leaders talking about their plans for America and their plans for getting leaders involved all across the country. It is very strategic. Meanwhile, we're like, what? So it is scary and terrifying, as long as we cling to our identity, but also, when are we going to take on that warrior ethos and go, absolutely not. You can be here, but here are our rules, and this is how you will abide. I don't know that we have the will. Maybe. But I think it is very alarming. But let me just throw this out here for people who want to learn more. I will be very fast. If you listen to Renewing Your Mind, it's Ligonier Ministries. There's an old series of talks by R.C. Sproul explaining Islam and explaining about the prophet and really diving into a biblical understanding of what we're dealing with. So I recommend that to you, because we don't want to just talk about it. We want to understand it so that then we can confront it. That's what we want to do.
We'll be back.
To get credit, though, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
And then there's Operation Gothic Serpent, which is heading into Somalia. Became known as the Battle of Mogadishu. A lot of your book, of course, and rightfully so, is focused on that mission. I want to dive into that for a bit, because that's the one. I mean, your situation in the Battle of Mogadishu took you out of running in obscurity in terms of your personal name, and thrust you into the eyes of the entire world. And I remember that. I remember when that happened. It was amazing to see it. But for those who don't recall, Operation Gothic Serpent, the intro into Mogadishu for the United States actually started under George H.W. Bush.
Correct.
But it transitioned in early '93 when Clinton took office.
Correct.
So you were there during Clinton's era, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Clinton took office in January '93. Task Force Ranger is the name of the U.S. presence, I guess, at the airfield there. And then in October, was it October 3rd, I think? October 3rd, '93, launched what many people just refer to as Black Hawk Down, because that's the book and the movie. And I guess code word Irene was what launched the mission, right?
It was.
Which my secretary downstairs at the law firm, her name is Irene. I told
really?
her one day, I said, I don't know if you're aware of the use of your name in modern pop culture. And she went, I've never heard that. So anyway.
And actually, that's my character that says it in the movie.
That is your character. Yeah. And I want to talk about the movie and all that too at some point, just to get your thoughts on it. But Rangers have the mission of going in and securing some high-value targets. or securing the scene so that Delta could secure the high value targets. You're part of the flight in. Who were you bringing in, by the way?
So I was the flight lead, which means I'm responsible for my whole flight of aircraft of the Ranger blocking force. So it's basically split into two pieces. We had the assault force, which is where the Delta guys are. They're primarily on little birds.
Yeah.
And they're going to go in first because they want the element of surprise. They want to be, busting doors down before, with limited amount of time to react, right? If you put the blocking force in first, then you bring the assault force in, the bad guys have a little bit more time to react. So they're going in first. We're right behind them. So as soon as their birds pull out, we're moving in, and I had 4 Blackhawks that made up the blocking force, plus 2 spare attack little birds, plus the search and rescue birds. So we're all coming in together on the second wave, basically. And we just set up a box. I mean, all they want is put a Ranger platoon on each corner, and the purpose is twofold. One, keep more bad guys from getting in, and then obviously we call them leakers, keeping the people you're after from getting out. And that all went pretty smoothly, even though we'd done it 6 times before. This was the 7th mission.
Right.
And, we had tremendous success. We had captured, I think, 27 people on a list of 50, taken no casualties of any significance. We didn't lose any birds. I mean, it was all going pretty well. There were 3-day missions and 3-night missions leading up to that. And this 7th mission is a day mission, which created some risk factors that we knew about, but, not my call.
Part of the job.
But yeah, the commander makes the call.
Right.
They're within tolerance, I guess you could say, and when we go, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, it got crazy on the ground pretty quick, didn't it?
It did.
I know we had one Ranger injured on the fast rope end, and that created a scene. And then I guess the all call went out, and it seemed like everybody in Mogadishu had an AK-47, and they all ran to the scene.
And that was their strategy, which we found out later. They actually had set up a system where once they knew where we were hitting the target, and again, they learned this over time, right? When I talk about this, I try to compare it to sports, right? If you keep running the same play, the defense is going to adapt to that play, right? They understand, okay, this formation means this is what they're going to do, so here's how we counter that. It works the same way in the military. And so having done it 6 times, they obviously understood, okay, the helicopters all go to a target. That's where, they're going to put people on the ground. They're going to try to apprehend folks. If we can pin them in there, then, we might have some chance of
Plus, they were blocking roads, so the ground convoy was having trouble.
Yep. So we found out after that was their strategy. Once they knew where the target was, they were all going to close on it, and it worked pretty well, actually.
Well, the Blackhawks stayed on station. In fact, one thing I've never known is what was the purpose of y'all? If there's going to be a ground convoy for the exfil, what was the purpose of y'all remaining on station like you did?
So we kept 2 attack little birds and 2 Blackhawks over the target for fire support. So the little birds, they've got miniguns and rockets,
right?
And they're going to be slightly further out in terms of their restricted fire areas. Where the Blackhawks were being used, and honestly, hindsight being 2020, it wasn't a great way to do this, and it's not being done anymore, at least not in urban environments. They were being used for both the miniguns, which I don't think they used the miniguns a lot, but they had snipers on board. So it's a great stable platform for the shooter, but it's a 50-something foot long target for people on the ground that have weapons. Mm-hmm. And you can't fly fast, because if you're flying fast, your shooter can't hit anything. So the speed is less than what you would fly if you were, just trying to avoid fire. We're probably flying 50 knots, right? Which may seem fast to someone on the ground, but that's really slow for an aircraft. Mm-hmm. And it makes the aircraft much more vulnerable to ground fire.
And how far above ground were you?
Very low. I mean, the Blackhawks had to stay 150 feet and below.
Okay.
And the little birds, I think, were 300 feet and above, which worked out great. I mean, we'd done it, at that point, probably 50 times counting rehearsals, and never had any close calls in terms of mid-airs.
Were you just flying racetracks?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had, when I was in Baghdad in 2004, I can remember being on a coordinated search mission in Sadr City area, And they had changed all the TTPs because the racetracks got predictable, apparently, for ground fire. And so they were flying figure eights, and they were also altitude changes. And they had gone through all kinds of machinations to try and make sure the bad guys on the ground didn't have a predictable means of assessing, where the flight was going to be.
Right. Now, my flight, because I'm not one of these 4 aircrafts over the target. I've already gone in. I put my guys on the ground. But I took my flight north of the city for exactly what you're talking about. And one of the guys criticized me. He said, "Hey, we need to stay closer to the target so we can see what's going on." And I'm like, "No, we're a contingency force at this point. I'm going north of the city where there's no threat, because if we're just doing circles up there, why would I want to be right here in the middle of this fight and put our entire flight at risk?" And it was obviously the right decision to do what I decided to do. So
know anything about. I'd heard a little bit about it. And as a result of this guy mentioning it, I went to the Catholic News Agency to look at the statistics, because in today's age, when you hear numbers, you think, are they making that up? Is it a bot? Is this real? It's real. And it's a Bill Maher clip, and it's what I mentioned in the first hour. And it has to do with wimps versus warriors. And the reason that I'm bringing any of this up has everything to do with our free speech conversation all day. And there's an idea buried within the wimpy side of things that is, well, I'll read the quote after we play this clip, but it all ties together. So stick with us, because this is a conversation we need to have. We've talked about the church being silent, or the church is going along with culture and not pushing back. Too many people are hiding out in caves. And I think it was the church father Jerome who did that, as compared to St. Augustine, who ran into culture and was like, no, we're just going to be out here. And then his counterpart went and hid and waited for himself to die because the world was too bad and too ugly. And so that idea has been bothering me. And I didn't know that this way of living in the church but it's got a name, but I'll tell you the name in a minute. JP, how about let's play the clip first? I, for one, was embarrassed. I didn't know about what was happening until Bill Maher said it.
Which is ironic.
I mean, the fact that this issue has not gotten on people's radar.
Right, no one's talking about it.
It's pretty amazing. If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Thank you.
Wow. And that's more than you'll hear at 99% of churches in America.
Yeah, it took the raging atheist of Bill Maher to bring it up.
Because if you're just a human being, you should see the tragedy in that. I saw a video. Have you seen the videos of literally them? I mean, they're people just running through fields out of villages, and you just hear machine guns. I mean, just rapid fire. They don't even care. It is just get rid of them all. It is really horrifying to watch, and nobody's talking about it.
They're not talking about it. And if we read the Bible, we know that apathy is not an option for believers anyway, right? And I really was so embarrassed that I didn't know that many people, according to several people, their stats are all similar. 100,000 people, Christians, pastors, murdered. This is a genocide, and nobody's talking about it. And you know what these Christians were doing over there in Nigeria? They were minding their own business. And so then you juxtapose that with this quote that I saw this week. And it said this: what if being faithful to the way of Jesus doesn't push you right or left on our political spectrum, but pulls you out of the system altogether? That idea has really bothered me, and it's been bothering me for years. And again, a new idea that I learned, I'm probably sure I heard about it before, but this idea that we just withdraw and mind our own business. The Nigerian Christians were minding their own business and they were still murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea doesn't work. We were never given the option to step back. But this idea that we should and could really originated with Tim Keller in New York, because he was in the middle of it all, living his life and trying to reach as many people as possible. But do you remember around the time that the Jen Hatmakers of this world said, we're not really going to talk about abortion, and we're not really going to talk about gay marriage. We're really just going to focus on the gospel. Except that makes the gospel about as deep and wide as a thimble.
Hmm.
And so we back up to a very old issue, St. Augustine in public, or Jerome, and I'm probably saying the wrong church father, who hid. But we've made hiding this self-righteous, self-anointed, I am better than all of you, I'm going to step out of it altogether. That's the holiest thing that I can do. But I remind you, those Christians were minding their own business, living life, and they've been murdered since 2009, and an atheist had to tell us that. This way of living is called third wayism. That's the third way. There's the right way, there's the left way, and then there's the third way. And the third way is just back up. Go to your home and listen to music and have people over and pretend that the world is not burning. You just go on and live your life. And Jesus is coming back anyway. So just hang on, everybody. He's coming.
Hang on and wait for the rapture.
Hang on and wait for the rapture.
Yeah.
Because it's coming. And we'll get the 7 mountains of culture. That's another weirdo thing that they believe in. The 7 mountains of culture. We're going to go capture all those things to usher in the rapture, as if we had the audacity or the nerve to even tell Jesus, because with this theology, you can kind of dictate what you do and don't do. You've buffeted the Bible, and now you're buffeting your life. And now you're going to think that you're actually going to help usher in the rapture. Are you serious right now? By you're not doing anything? And guess what you're not doing anything is going to do? Get us an Islamic center in Meadowbrook, or in other parts of Alabama, or anywhere else in the U.S., or look at Dearborn, or look at Minnesota, look at Texas, what's going on there in those Islamic cities that they're building. They are telling us, we who would like to mind our own business, that they are coming for us. They are not planning to integrate. They are not planning to do anything else than dominate us and subjugate us. Meanwhile, you've got a large swath of the church going, we're just not going to engage at all. How is that working for us?
Not well.
And that's why Christians not getting engaged in politics drives me nuts, because it's like, how are you going to have any influence over society without getting engaged in politics? Because politics is how you have influence over society. And the churches that say, well, we don't want to be divisive, we don't want to upset any of our congregation, we just want to, we're not going to tell you how to vote, so this is where we can unite and come together. Like that's bullcrap. That's because there's one party that's pushing abortion and transgenderism and mutilating kids, and there's a side that's actually not. So as a Christian, I feel like there actually is a right and wrong side of those two. So you can actually get engaged on one of them, and if it's divisive, then guess what? The gospel is divisive. Like, that's just the truth. So I agree 100%. And us being Christians not getting engaged, then people just walk over us, and then they view it as, well, sort of the belief that like things will get worse until Jesus comes back. So we might as well, it's not worth doing anything because things are just going to keep getting worse, and we just got to hold on tight. Like Jesus would not have wanted us to do that. He wanted us to get engaged and make America stay a Christian nation. So spot on.
I mean, somebody's ideologies will win out. Somebody will win this game. And do you want it to be them, or do you want it to be us? I go with us every day.
Every day.
Every single day, for lots of reasons. even if you aren't a believer, even if you aren't a Christian, we're like the only religion, the only way of governing that isn't death, like domination, takeover. So who do you want to live under?
Yeah, Sharia law, or I don't know, the Christian society that built the greatest nation that's ever been.
Yep.
Seems like I don't know. Seems like a.
What's crazy is because I was just thinking about this Islamic school. They've petitioned to have this rezoned once before, and they withdrew the petition. Now it's back. But when do you remember the school, the Christian school that's there in Birmingham? And one of the moms was just like so upset that they had to withdraw, that they weren't going to be in the neighborhood, that they weren't going to be down the street, that they weren't. I'm like, what? Like, we're actively working against ourselves. And nobody seems to even blink or bat an eye. But I do see, like, the Christians, whatever happens, we've ushered this in so many ways, because everybody says, oh, we turn the other cheek. We just
turn the other cheekism. Yeah.
And it's not
doesn't even mean what you think it does.
Exactly.
It doesn't. And that's a whole other conversation that maybe next time we come back, we'll have to have a talk, because turning the other cheek does not mean, oh, yes, please hit me again. Oh, yes, I'm here to serve you. Just, and I really fear God is sovereign. There is a reason we are here. I get it. But he also gives us the ability to make decisions, to enact, to be a part of what he is playing out. And when Christians actively decide to sit it out, this is what happens. So we pick it. How do you want to live? I don't want to live in Dearborn. I just don't. I'm not interested in that. So your options are either get involved and get off the sidelines, or they're telling you they are coming. What are you going to do? I will say this is very hopeful. Did y'all see? Well, this is after Pope Leo. Did y'all see him bless that block of ice?
Oh, gosh. He also said some other stuff yesterday.
Bless a block of ice?
He said some other stuff
What?
yesterday. That was crazy.
Is that in Hot Flash News?
Yeah, but I don't know if we're going to have time for Hot Flash News, because we got Jared Hudson coming on really soon. But he blessed a block of ice for climate change and climate justice. But the Catholic Church did bring back the Knights Templar. Did y'all see that?
I have a book about them.
Like the Crusades. Maybe we're coming back. I don't know. So actually, we might be ready to fight. It's probably just because they have cool uniforms and stuff.
Yeah,
and they wear those hats.
Sick uniforms.
Yeah, and they look kind of scary. That's probably just it.
Pretty cool.
We got to go to a break. You're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
I flighted on north of the city. Now, north of the city is not a long distance. It's probably a mile.
Right.
And we're up there orbiting, basically on standby. I mean, when you got assets like that, if you could keep them on hand as a ground force, keep them on hand, right? Because you never know when you might need some kind of helo support. And then I get called back in when the first Black Hawk gets shot down.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So you were flying what, Super 6-4?
Right.
And Super 6-1, your friend Donovan, right? So he's the first one to go down.
And Cliff Walcott.
Yeah, and Cliff Walcott. And then you were, I think you were directed in to replace him.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, we didn't have a sniper on board. So we're going in simply to use our minigun down close to try to provide fire support for the guys on the ground. That's what our mission has now become, which that was not our mission prior to that. But again, you adapt and you do what needs to be done to try to help the force that you're supporting.
And you've got a full crew?
4, yeah. 2 crew chiefs and 2 pilots.
All right, so Super 6-1 is down. What do you remember about Super 6-1, hearing it over the air, and recognizing that one of them's already down?
Yeah, I mean, I've always called myself an eternal optimist. It never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that Cliff and Donovan would be dead. I just assumed that, they took a round, they're going down, they're going to land the aircraft somewhere, we'll get them recovered, and we'll all go debrief this thing when this is over. But obviously now we've lost a bird, which is the first time that this happens for us. There had been another Black Hawk shot down by 10th Mountain Division previously with some fatalities, but it wasn't our unit. And it, I've always used the phrase "big sky, little bullet." You don't think it can necessarily happen to you until there's enough volume of fire where it's going to happen to you. And there's also a search and rescue bird shot down in the middle of all this that then heightens that even more, because now they've shot down 2 aircraft in about 5 minutes, and we're going into this fray. This is getting real, really fast. And, I remember telling the crew chiefs, because I've got control of their guns from up front. So I've got an arming switch. And I armed the guns, and I said, okay, you're armed, but we got friendlies all over the ground down here. So we can't go in here and just blasting away. When we see bad guys, we got to get situationally aware so we know where all of our forces are before you start launching 6,000 rounds a minute downrange.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in an urban environment, I don't want to say it's impossible, but right on the rooftops, it's really difficult to sort all that out. Because first of all, they're all taking cover. So, they're not standing out there waving at you. They're all taking cover. So trying to figure out where everybody was would have probably taken us a while. In the end, we only made it around 3 times when we got nailed by an RPG.
So RPG to the tail rotor, right?
Right.
In the movie, and later I want to get your thoughts on the movie, like I said, but in the movie, there's a scene where you took the RPG to the tail rotor. But initially, you thought it was going to be okay until you started getting some play in the pedals and stuff like that. So, what were your first thoughts, and how did that? I mean,
well, I knew we were hit, and I always tell people if you want to know what it feels like, drive too fast in a parking lot and hit a speed bump. That's what it felt like. It felt like a jolt to the airframe, because you don't see it. Usually, what they were doing is they let us fly by, and then they emerge from the doorway and shoot. So you're probably not going to see the launch. The crew chief might see it, depending if they're looking in the right direction. And then the reason they hit both of us in the tail is they're not leading us enough. So that 50-knot magical speed was just ballistically perfect for them to shoot at I'm sure they were aiming for center mass.
Which the crazy thing is, an RPG is not usually designed to take out aircraft.
No, but if you fire enough of them, eventually, they say they fired 150 at us on that mission. Now, not just at me, but on that mission. That's how many RPGs.
I'd never heard that. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they went all in. They thought, we want to bring down a helicopter, and they were successful. So anyway, back to your question. Initially, I feel like I hit a speed bump, knew we were hit. I can see the airfield. It's 2 miles ahead of us. And looking in the cockpit, everything's okay. Controls were all responding. But what had happened was the gearbox had been blown apart, and it's like a transmission in your car, right? If you blow your transmission apart,
you ain't going anywhere.
Not for very long. Once those gears run without oil for any period of time, they're going to self-destruct, and that's what happened. And then when the tail rotor left the aircraft, again, that's impossible to describe. If you haven't experienced it, I can't describe it. I mean, it's just violent spin of the aircraft.
Welcome back. Sadly, we have like a couple segments left and the day is done. So don't go anywhere, because Jared Hudson's coming up next. But we have a caller, JP.
Thomas from Huntsville.
Thomas from Huntsville. Hey, Thomas from Huntsville. How are you today?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We're pretty good. How are you doing?
We're doing well. Having a good day.
Good.
So you were talking earlier about opening exotic centers. There's one over here at Sparkler Drive, not far from the college, and they have their Friday night meets and all the stuff, and they do the community outreach and come meet your Muslim neighbors, convert to whatever. It's right there. I used to live down the street from them.
Did you ever go to any of the events?
Are you kidding me?
I don't. I just am kind of curious, because it's hard. Like, we have had Muslim friends come stay in our home. We've had Muslim friends that have come to our lake house that we do. Actually, we're going to have dinner with them in a few weeks. Some of the nicest people ever, like genuinely kind. But in the back of my head, I'm always like, oh gosh, like at the end of the
Remember
day, how does this go
in
down?
the 90s, not all Muslims are terrorists, but almost all terrorists are Muslims.
Never heard that. Well,
wow.
Oh, and by the way, you guys were talking about turning the other cheek. There's a guy here named Sam Simone. He does faith-based podcasts or whatever. He had a good thing about turning the other cheek. Look it up. He's pretty cool.
Sam Simone.
Yes.
Samoun, I believe.
He's
Sam
a
Simone, yeah.
former Muslim, if I remember.
Other cultures,
No way.
And he promotes Christianity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The big thing about turning the other cheek, about how it's not letting someone hurt you. It's about not letting them insult you.
That's right.
And
it's
right.
interesting.
Right.
It is very interesting. I was this year's old when I learned about the true meaning behind turning the other cheek. You're exactly right. It's about not letting them insult you. And if we knew our Bibles better, we would know that when we throw that term around, we're just expressing our ignorance, because God's like, no, I'm giving you dignity. I'm empowering you to say absolutely not.
Yep.
So often we think it means being weak-willed and sad all the time. And that's not it at all. Not one bit. That's a great point.
Now, you have a blessed day, guys.
You too. Okay, before we go to Jared Hudson, I have some text to read you. Allison.
I'm excited.
JP.
These are my favorite.
Prepare yourself. We have a lot of great texts, but we're going to read from Shag Nasty, the atheist.
Shag Nasty?
Shag Nasty, the atheist. And I have a simple statement at the end of these rapid fire texts. So thank you for texting. Adults that have to depend on fairy tales to discern right from wrong are contemptible and childish. Use your brains. Jesus should mean as much to a rational adult as Buddha and Spider-Man. Jesus himself said the kingdom of God is not of this world, so stay out of my government. The problem is, though, if as an atheist, you are just making truth claims, adults that have to depend on fairy tales to discern right from wrong are contemptible and childish. You made a truth claim. Where in the world do you get your ability to decide right from wrong if you don't even know if God exists?
Well, there is
what's the foundation? So if God doesn't exist, who cares what we say?
Yeah.
Who cares what we think?
Why does it bother him?
I don't know.
Because there's no truth.
There is no truth.
Also, I'll say this. It's comfortable for Shag Nasty to say something like that in a Christian society. Should we go back about what atheist countries have done, like what Stalin did as an atheist leader, like what Hitler did as an atheist leader? So I don't know. I think it's pretty safe for Shag Nasty to say that in a Christian society where the atheist societies don't have a really great track record. So I'll just say that.
Not a great track record, but if you continue to make truth claims but act as if there is no God or there is no right and wrong, how do you even know what's right or true?
Like how can you judge
how do you
me?
Know?
There's no scale of judgment.
And so, whatever.
But I do, you know what? I appreciate Shag Nasty.
Shag Nasty.
Shag Nasty.
You know what? If he keeps listening into the show, maybe we'll wear on him. Maybe he'll start to hear the truth more and more. And
I mean,
I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Oh, I think about that all the time. Like my heart has been beating this whole show without me even thinking about it. Like, really, you think that happened from like two little things running into each other?
Well,
I don't think so.
Where do you take guilt and shame if there's nobody to take it to?
You drink it away. I mean, I don't know how else you handle life if everything that happens is up to you, good and bad, and there's no bigger reason.
Kind of a huge
How do you
weight
keep
to carry.
going? Okay, on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Jared Hudson. You're listening to Rightside Radio.
Out of control.
What do they call that? Counter rotation or something, where you're trying to restore stability?
Well, the tail rotor is there to counter the torque of the main rotor system. Again, if you think about a drill, people are familiar with that. You pull the trigger, you can feel it want to turn. That's torque. So the same thing's happening to a helicopter, obviously with a lot more force. The tail rotor is mounted horizontally to push against that force that's wanting the airframe to spin. Once that tail rotor is gone, there's nothing. So essentially, if you were left unaffected by anything else, what would eventually happen is the airframe, minus wind drag, obviously, would be spinning as fast as the rotor blades are in the opposite direction. Yeah. That's essentially once it reached equilibrium. That will never happen, but That's how much force you're talking about here. And I remember looking at my feet, trying to convince myself you're doing the right thing in terms of which pedal you're pushing, but it is having no effect on the aircraft. And then I'm like, okay, we lost the tail rotor. Again, this is you can't train that. There's no, you can't do it in a simulator. I mean, we can do a loss of tail rotor in a simulator, but you can't do the violent effects, the physical violent effects of the airframe in a simulator. But I knew what had happened, and the only thing you can do is shut the engines off, because again, that's what's creating that torque. So if you can remove that force, it'll stop that spin, but now you have no engines. Yeah. So that's not good either, especially at low altitude. But it's what you have to do. You can't possibly maintain control of the aircraft if it's just spinning out of control. So in a Black Hawk, we don't have control of the engines on the flight controls. So the co-pilot or the non-flying pilot has to shut the engines off. So I looked over at Ray and I said, "We lost the tail. We better pull them off." And he knew he was an experienced guy. I actually had more experience than I did, and pulled the engines off. But we're spinning so fast that he said, and we talked about it on the ground afterwards, typical instructor pilots. He said, we're spinning so fast, the centrifugal force was causing him to not be able to lift his arms up over his head, which is where the engine power control levers are. So he got one to idle and got one about halfway off, which slowed the spin but didn't stop it. And now, with no engine power, we're falling out of the sky like a Coke machine. And all I could do is try to keep the aircraft from flipping upside down, which, again, I don't know if anything I did made a difference, honestly, but all I can tell you is we crashed right on the wheels, and that's the only reason I'm still here.
All right, so you're on impact. Now, you said something on the ground. Did Ray make it?
Yeah,
okay.
We all survived the crash.
Okay.
The crew chiefs were hurt really bad because they don't, first of all, they don't have as good as seats, at least in that version of the aircraft. It's been improved since. And they're probably not strapped in, meaning, they operate on what we call monkey harnesses back there.
Yeah.
So they're on a strap, but they're not strapped into their seats, which have, all of this crash survivability.
I use those as a jump master in Blackhawks.
Because it allows you to move around and do the things you need to do. And, you get in the seat when you have to land. Well, they didn't, obviously we're not planning to land, so they're probably not strapped in, or at least not likely that they're both strapped in. So, that violent crash, they were probably not going to make it. But Ray, I mean, he was not hurt as bad as I was. And we're talking, once I regained consciousness, we're talking about what happened, and there was no reason to talk about what happened. We should have been talking about, hey, the heck, we're going to survive the next 5 minutes here. But we did, and that's when he explained what he had tried to do. And then he was able to get himself out of the cockpit. There's no way I could get out. I had a femur fracture, crushed vertebrae in my spine. It's hard to get out of a Black Hawk cockpit when you're healthy. Mm-hmm. With those injuries, there's no way. So I just thought, I'm just going to fight it out from the cockpit.
I did not recall that your co-pilot had made it, but they didn't survive. Am I correct?
Well, they were killed in a firefight.
Yeah, they're all killed in the firefight. Yeah, I remember that now. All right, you're still stuck in the cockpit. I remember, I'm assuming it was when I read it, that you had a kind of an off the books weapon. Didn't you have an MP5?
Just plain right.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP.
How come we have to say it like that? JP.
Because it's more fun. I could say JP.
JP.
JP. Je ne sais quoi, JP.
I didn't know it was French till now. That's good to know.
Your name in my phone is JP Savant.
Savant.
Because you're so smart. I feel like you're a super smart.
You're
guy.
very smart.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye, Alicia.
Oh,
she's so sweet.
We love her. Big fans.
I think Jared Hudson's on the phone, and we're just like having a conversation without him. But
no,
are you there?
Y'all are good. I'm here. Y'all are good. I'm listening. I'm sitting here eating boiled peanuts in South Alabama. I love boiled peanuts.
Do you get the Cajun or the regular?
I'll mix them up. You know, sometimes if you eat too many of those cages, you get to the point where you can't taste them anymore because they start to burn your tongue. So I just kind of go back and forth. These are some regular, but when I was in the SEAL teams, a sniper instructor from sniper school, he loved boiled peanuts too. And anytime I went on deployment, he would mail me a can of those Patches boiled peanuts.
Those are my daughter's favorite. Yeah. Those are good. Are these like the fancy ones that you get off the side of the road that don't come out of a can? Or like where'd you
these are.
I feel it feels very Forrest Gumpish. Like I got boiled peanut, I got Cajun peanuts, regular peanuts down here in South Alabama. So you out on the campaign trail, what have you been doing? How is this going? Because I mean, I know you ran for sheriff of Jefferson County and you know, you're not new to politics, but a statewide race is no joke. So how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, you know, Alabama as a state is a lot bigger than Jefferson County, so that's one lesson learned. But it's no, it's going really good. You know, just driving all over the state and trying to win friends and influence and let people know who I am and get out and vote. And we've had a positive response from everybody we're able to get in front of. That's the one good thing. Is making sure that, you know, our message resonates, and guess what? It does, because I'm a regular guy.
What are you hearing? What's your perception of what the people are wanting to talk about the most? Like, what are the issues that you hear about?
Well, it depends on where you're at, right? It depends on where you're at in the state, because each area is a little bit different. I would say the biggest thing is people are sick of, you know, they're sick of 5 steps forward and 10 steps back is what it feels like. So what I say is when you know, it's a Republican talking point, hey, we'll stand with President Trump. Well, that's easy to say, but what does it actually mean? Well, as a legislator, we got to codify good legislation that might be an executive order now that's going to go away with the next president, right? And so that's kind of one of the biggest things people talk about. How can we know what the future holds if as soon as President Trump leaves, it's going to go back to the stupidity we saw during the Biden administration if we don't get another good president, hopefully. So that's been one of the things that's kind of statewide. Obviously, infrastructure, I think everybody in the state wants to see I-65 widened. It doesn't matter if you're in the South or if you're all the way up north or in between. Everybody wants to see the infrastructure development. And that's going to be required to widen 65, and then a handful of other places as well. Economic revitalization, using things that we already have in place, that's pretty popular, at least across the middle band of Alabama and up into Birmingham. It's pretty common in Birmingham now, but let's make sure that we effectively use things that we have that are not being used right now. And then, you know, growth for Alabamians. I mean, right now, workforce participation is pretty low, even nationally. 60%? I think Alabama's at 52 or 53%. Make sure we get that workforce participation up, but make Alabama a place where people want to stay, because I believe it is a place where people want to stay. But not only do they want to stay, they can raise their family and take care of their family in Alabama, and that's kind of it across the board.
So
for me, my talking points are always faith, family, and freedom, and that kind of matches what people want.
That's what they're talking about. I'm curious your thoughts on the Schumer shutdown, because you're running for U.S. Senate, and I'm sure most of the listeners know who you are. I think you've been on, and I know you and Phil did a podcast together. But what are your thoughts on the shutdown? And I mean, well, let you tell your thoughts, because I have a few too, but this isn't about me.
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing is when the government shuts down, everybody's life still continues, right? I mean, has anybody, you know, not been able to you know, go to work or do what they're normally doing that's, you know, living here in Alabama? Everybody's life still continues when the government shuts down. So it's not like the world ending, right? That's the first thing we need to understand. But with that being said, there are people within our government, the people that I say, this is always what I kind of go around and say, there's people that do violence so you can sleep in peace at night. The people that do violence on our behalf, federal law enforcement, military members, TSA is a great example. I know we don't always like the TSA, but those working in our airports to make sure that we don't have a bomb getting on a plane or whatever. They're all legally forced to work, even though they're not receiving a paycheck. And right now, all your members of Congress, they still receive their paycheck because Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution puts congressional pay in a permanent appropriation. So their pay continues even if the government shuts down because it's in a permanent appropriation. And that's laid out in the Constitution. All right, well, that's, you can say that's fine or you can say that's not fine, but the fact is you got the Democrats shutting it down right now. There's no risk of them not getting paid. They're shutting down the government to give illegal aliens free health care. By the way, it's not free. It's your tax dollars that are paying for it. So we're paying for the health care. They just want to give it to them for free. The only thing free in this world is the grace of Jesus Christ. And when they do that, they shut down the government and they force other people to work who are doing a hard job, a job that might cost them their life. They're forcing other people to work without pay. They're not getting paid because they're shutting the government down on political ideology or whatever it is. So that's kind of frustrating to me because that's the community I come from.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are not receiving a paycheck right now because you got the Democrats using government and shutting the government down for their own political, purposes. We want, free health care for illegal aliens. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
See, I mean, I kind of love it that it's shut down because the knuckleheads in Congress and everybody, they can't spend any money. But I mean,
but see, and I don't disagree with that hard, Allison. There's nothing wrong with loving it. Hey, the government shuts down, life continues on. But it's easy to say when you're not the one who's
you're right.
sitting there not receiving a paycheck, but you still have to work. Because guess what? If it continues, I remember when I was in the SEAL teams and government shutdown happened, and we don't receive a paycheck. Well, guess what? I don't get to stop paying my rent when I don't receive a paycheck. I don't get to not pay the grocery store when I have to go get food to check out. So you got folks that, hey, they might be living paycheck to paycheck. It's not like a lot of your service members or a lot of your federal law enforcement, the folks that are taking care of these cities that have been run roughshod over the last, however many years the Biden administration had all these illegals pouring in and taking over these cities with these, South American gangs. But with all that being said, those guys are still going out and working. Those women are still going out and working. Oh, and by the way, they still have to pay bills, but they're not getting a paycheck to pay their bills. And they're not making a lot. These are folks making $60, $70, $80, $90,000 a year. They're making a normal living like the rest of us. And they're not getting their money. But guess who is getting their money? All them congressional folks. Everybody that's up there working their job. Now, here's the one good side of it. And I think Trump has even mentioned this in a tweet. There's a lot of the bureaucracy that needs to be cut away. Pete Hegseth talked about that with DOD the other day. I mean, I don't know if y'all heard his speech, but it was a really, really good speech, and it needed to happen for a lot of our Department of Defense leaders or now our Department of War leaders, right? We are working in the War Department now is what he says, which is, that's a powerful statement because words are important. With all that being said, he's talking about cutting the fat, making sure that we trim the bureaucracy so that we can be an effective fighting force. I think Trump's looking to do the same thing because during a shutdown, he can trim the bureaucracy with a little more efficiency than he can without a shutdown.
Yeah.
So, that might be the silver lining of this whole thing.
Didn't they literally say no more fat generals too? I mean,
well, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, here's the thing: as a warfighter, do you want to, me as an E6 going in? Do I want to look at a dude who doesn't look like he can win a fist fight, much less a gunfight? Saying, "Hey, this is what we need you to go do," and he looks like a busted can of biscuits. Nobody wants that.
That reminds me. Do you remember the story? It's like, do you remember the firefighter, the female firefighter?
Oh my word!
She
from
said,
California.
From California, she was like, I mean, if I'm the one that shows up in the fire, good luck. Like basically, because she was so overweight, and she basically just admitted, I can't get you out of the house. I mean, do you want me or Jared Hudson going to rescue you on a battlefield? Probably not going with Allison.
Well, but you're a pretty strong.
No.
Yeah,
Or the.
But no, we want Jared.
Lady, Allison. But that's the thing is, going back to, hey, we don't want fat generals. We don't want an overbloated bureaucracy that's negatively impacting a representative government, which should be the elected officials getting stuff to the people that are in the mud and the blood on the ground. That's the way it should be. So ultimately, we've got to get a lot of the bureaucracy out of there. Maybe this will positively impact that, but still, at face value, there are people that are trying to do their job, and they're trying to do a good job at making sure that we have life, liberty, and property, as John Locke outlined, or life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, as Jefferson outlined. They're out there standing in the gap every day to make sure we have that. And they're now not receiving a paycheck because politicians did what politicians do, and they made it political.
Hey, Jared, we've got to take a break. I don't know if you have time to stick around through the break. I want to ask you about Covenant Rescue Group and kind of get an update, because I know you're still involved with that, and kind of see what y'all have going on. Can you stick?
Oh yeah, no, we have
around?
to. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
We just made 2 arrests as we were talking, so let's talk about it.
Oh wow!
Breaking news.
Okay.
All right, you're listening to Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
He's always got.
Like that. Mm-hmm. Was that standard issue, or
was
that
for us? Yeah,
it was. Okay.
Yeah, we used the MP5. They don't use it anymore, I don't think. But that was our. We had an M9 pistol and an MP5.
So you wound up having to engage targets yourself while you're on the ground in the cockpit?
Actually, not from the cockpit. That's one area where Black Hawk Down deviates from what actually happened. I mean, I did consult a little bit on the movie, but really not much. I guess if they're going to exaggerate something and make you look better than you actually were, that's a good thing. But yeah, they have me, blasting away from the cockpit. It was amazing how quickly Gary Gordon and Randy Sugart got to the cockpit. There were no Somalis there yet, and that's why I hadn't fired any rounds. I had my MP5. I was ready to go, but nobody had showed up. And then all of a sudden, Gary and Randy are standing next to the cockpit, and I'm like, wow. This is over. There's a rescue force here.
Which is an amazing story in itself. I mean, both of them wound up with the Medal of Honor posthumously. But I recall reading that they both requested 7 times to be put on the ground, knowing full well that there was only going to be 2 of them, and no telling how long till any guys of the Rangers got there.
You're right about all of that. And again, I only know about it secondhand because obviously I'm not on the aircraft with them. But they were told initially no, and eventually convinced the leadership that if they were not let in, we were lost. And, you don't know what's in the mind of someone else, but they had to know, hey, this is going to be dicey at a minimum, because it took 8 hours for another American to get to our crash site.
Yeah, which is crazy when you think about the fact that as you were going down, you could see the airfield roughly 2 miles away, and yet it took 8 hours for anybody to get there.
And it's because... well, we were resource constrained, and there were so many things happening. You had 6-1's crash site, you had the convoy, you had the target, now you had my crash site. So really, the commander's got 4 things that he's got to deal with, and he didn't even really have the resources for one.
By the way, I'm going to chase a rabbit real quick. I don't know if you heard this yet, but the whole base renaming thing that happened.
I was going to bring this up
about Gary Gordon.
Yeah. And it's a brilliant solution. And I just read it a couple days ago.
Yeah. For those who don't know, that Fort Gordon was one of the names that nobody knew was apparently tied to a Confederate. I didn't know that Benning was. I didn't know that Rucker was. I just went and trained there, as I'm sure you probably did. But Fort Gordon got renamed to something, but Fort Gordon's getting its name back for your rescuer, Gary Gordon.
Right.
Yeah. That's I think that's pretty. Now we got to find a Fort Shugart somewhere.
Yeah. They might have to create one. Yeah.
What do you recall about Shugart and Gordon being on the ground? I mean, I've read their story separately. I've read it in your book. But give me and the listeners, when they got on the ground and were talking, what were your thoughts? What was the conversation?
It was brief, purely mission focused. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They knew, hey, look, we got to get him out of the cockpit, meaning me, because I'm too vulnerable there. I'm sitting up, basically up off the ground, elevated, and so that was one of the primary things they wanted to get done, is get me out of there, and then essentially, as well as they could, set up a perimeter. Now, the way the geography of this crash site was, there was a wall right to the right. The nose is pointing forward as I'm sitting here, and there's a wall right to the right. Now it's just a corrugated tin wall, basically, but still, there's no way for someone to access the site from there. So I believe their decision was, we're going to go secure the left side, put me on the right, and that is in fact where the attack primarily came from, was the left side. So I can hear it, and then I could see Somalis, onesie twosies. I fired all the rounds in my weapon at the Somalis that tried to come in on the right side, but the bulk of the attack came from the left side.
How long was Shugart and Gordon in the mix? I mean, how long until they were actually taken
it's hard
out?
to say. I know there's an official timeline somewhere. I honestly don't recall. Time is so hard to judge when things are in that state of chaos. I would say probably 10 minutes, maybe 15, from the time they showed up to the side of the aircraft to, Gary went down first, and at that point, Randy's almost out of ammunition already. And he came around and he asked me where the crew chief's weapons were, and I told him, and he went in, grabbed one, and then he gave me what I believe was Gary's weapon, which still had rounds in it, because I had fired all the rounds out of my MP5. And then he went around the nose of the bird. He made a quick radio call, and we were told on the radio that a reaction force was en route. Again, cause for a little bit of optimism here. Yeah. And then he went and made his last stand on the other side.
Were 160th aircraft overhead? I mean, were you getting any kind of air cover at all when you were down?
Well, we're not getting any air cover, but that call that he made that call on what we call the fire net.
Welcome back to Rightside Radio. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair.
Did you forget we were doing a radio show?
I did. We were talking about something else. Y'all, you should know. JP, you should know. Allison used to make us do calisthenics and walk and do weights and stuff.
I get a little antsy during the radio show. So next time we're back, I'll take you through the routine, JP.
Good. I'm tired of sitting all day.
Actually, Hegseth and Jared Hudson would be proud of us. We're going to get our exercise in. We're not just going to sit around.
Are y'all doing kettlebell swings or something?
I don't have any kettlebells.
Jared, we're not that fancy.
We do just like weight bearing, some push-ups, some wall sits,
some bands.
Yeah, we use the stairs. It's really because I'm not ADHD at all, but I get a little antsy.
Yeah, no, it's easy to get antsy.
Do the things.
Okay, could you please tell us, sir, about what's going on with Covenant right now? You said you made 2 arrests just now. Could you tell?
Yeah. While we're talking on the phone, I got messages from the guys. So, I'm still the CEO of CRG, and I was normally working 60 or 70 hours a week with CRG. We cut that down now that I'm campaigning to somewhere between 40 and 50, and I campaign between 30 and 40 hours a week. So we got a good team of guys that are taking over everything and running the show to make sure that we're providing the training that local agencies need. And just so everybody's aware, we provide training for local agencies. We, teach them for a week for a 40-hour training or a 24-hour training for 3 days. And then we set up a live operation for that agency. Now, the guys are currently out of state right now, so they're in another state. I won't tell you where they're at, but we're able to view the ops remotely. And so that agency sets up the operation, and we just advise. So it's the agency's operation. So this agency made 2 arrests of individuals. One of them was they're doing an ICE hold on him right now because he's possibly an illegal immigrant. And what they'll do is they'll make those arrests on individuals who are showing up to buy normally 14-year-old girls, and we have some male decoys, so a 14-year-old boy, for sex. So that's what we're doing, and we still do that same thing. And honestly,
you still eating the peanuts? Successful. Is it good? I'm jealous. You're still eating the peanuts.
Yeah.
So how often do you come across an illegal alien? Is that fairly common when you in these operations?
Oh, yeah, it's very common. It depends on the area you're in, but I would say average is 20, maybe 30. So if we arrest I commonly arrest 10 people over, with an agency over 2 nights of operation. So a 24-hour period, we'll arrest 10 showing up to purchase children. I would say 30% of those 3 normally would be an illegal alien. Sometimes there's more than that, depending on the area. But, 20 to 30%.
Think about that. That is way higher than I thought you were going to say. I mean, 30, if you could cut down on a 30%, take a chunk, 30% out of the sex human trafficking equation in the United States, if you took the illegal aliens based on your numbers. I mean, that is a chunk. And that is
I mean, these are just
terrifying.
These numbers are, they're not, I guess they're kind of anecdotal because they're what we do.
Right.
In the areas we work in. We work all over the nation. We have trainings and operations booked up across the state of Alabama and, all the way out in the West Coast and up the eastern seaboard up north until October of next year. So we're booked out a little over a year in advance with what we do. And everywhere we go, we run the same thing. I mean, like I said, it averages 2 to 3 illegals out of every 10 you arrest.
Well, and I'll say, I think I can say this because it was in the news and it's funny, but it's not funny. Apparently y'all arrested my niece's nail guy down in Auburn. She was like, Aunt Allison, Jared Hudson arrested my nail guy. I was just there yesterday. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That was probably, we did one with Opelika back at the beginning of the year. So it was probably that one. And let me go ahead and tell you, we work with a lot of ACs in the state, a lot of good ACs. Opelika PD, they do a phenomenal job down there. They're at the forefront, especially for the size of that agency and the amount of people they're dealing with. They do a really good job at trying to proactively target human trafficking and people that are going after others. And now, I don't know historically how they've been or what they've done, but I can tell you right now, I've been unbelievably impressed with that agency. Huntsville as well, up in North Alabama. Huntsville has, and they're a little bit larger agency. They have the bandwidth to do a little bit more, but they have done a phenomenal job in Huntsville about taking some of the training we put on and running with it and doing a lot of ops on their own. But again, going back to your daughter and her nail guy, if it was there and near the Auburn area, it was probably with Opelika PD. But I can't speak highly enough about Shane Healy. He's the chief down there, Chief Healy. Man, he is phenomenal.
Well, it's kind of, I guess my point of that was that's how close, like people think this happens in, far away places. No, that was at Auburn. She was there often. So thank you for what you do. Yeah. Who knows how that was going or could have turned out for her or some of her friends or what was going to happen there. We are almost done with the show, but Jared, real quickly, how can people find out more about Covenant Rescue and your Senate campaign?
Yeah, so for Covenant Rescue, go to covenantrescue.org. You can follow us, keep up to date on what we're doing on social media. Our biggest thing is training for local law enforcement and even some federal agencies that we work with to target individuals who are trafficking people, in particular children, proactively. That's what we're teaching them how to do when we set up an operation for them. For the Senate stuff, HudsonForAlabama.com. Like, follow, share, do all of that stuff. And on May 19th, get out and hopefully we can earn your vote. Get out and vote Jared Hudson.
Gotcha. Jared, thanks so much for being with us. Y'all have a great day. It was fun. Maybe Phil will invite us back sometime.
I mean, who knows? But until next time.
See y'all.